moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Phil, all caps, back with another episode of the Knicks Nightcap here on the Nick of Time show. And I am chilling with two of my favorite people when it comes to Knicks content creators. One of them's still on his way, so the third will be here soon. And then at around 9:20, we will be locked in with Dexter Henry as well. So first, let me bring up my guy, Mr. Guard Up Knicks himself, Apollo Reed. What is up, Mr. Apollo?
Peace, bro. Peace, bro. How you? Good to see you.
You too. It's been a crazy week for many of us. Some of us are still trying to wake up after a late night of watching our Knicks play basketball. Not gonna lie, man, I hate West Coast trips. And before we talk about that a little more, I'm gonna bring up my guy because he's the angry Knick fan. He could probably relate to how I feel with those late night games. So, Mr. Billy, what is up?
Peace, fam. Peace. Paulo, Phil, what's good, man?
Peace.
Chilling, man. Good, man. I was just talking about how, these West Coast trips, as much as I love playing against West Coast teams and seeing, what it's like out there, waking up after going to bed at 12:30 and all of a sudden your little ones are waking you up by 6:37. It's not a fun feeling. Like, it's not fun by any means of the word. Especially when it's like multiple games that you're going to have to do it in the next like 5-6 days.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I kind of get away with it and I'll be like, yo, I'm just going to watch it on my lunch break in the morning, stay off Knicks Twitter. I don't feel like staying up tonight. But when it's a Wednesday and we got the show on Thursday, it's like, yo, I have no freaking choice but to watch that game because there's no way my kids are going to let me take 2.5 hours to watch the game and then also cut out early so that we could do the show. So, it's fun waking up to those kind of mornings.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. It was rough for me. I was up late watching the whole game. I stayed up and watched the whole game and then had to get up and take the kids to school and get right back to it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I hate West Coast trips, man.
And you know what sucks even more? And I can't say that I'm experiencing it myself, but Billy also had to wake up to snow. My family lives in Indiana too, so they sent me the photos too. So that sucks. Sorry, bro.
Look, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not complaining because it's later than expected. So we almost made it to December without snow, so I can't complain.
How crazy is that? Like, that junk's crazy. And it's like the confusing thing is like one day it's one thing and then the next, like, because I'm in Florida, got to Florida a few days ago to spend the winter here. And the other day it was like 80 something. I'm shooting this wedding. It's a little hot out, trying to avoid the sun directly. And then today we're wearing sweaters again, because it's dropping down to the 40s. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand it. So, but, there's no global warming or nothing like that, None of that's happening.
None of that going on. What's that?
But before things get too pissed off with people not liking us talking about anything but Knicks in the chat, let's talk to some of the people in the chat. Shout out to Wavy Edwards in the building. He said, all I know is them Knicks better guard up. Facts. We got Xavier Marshall. Appreciate you from being here. We got Steven Toon. Appreciate you. Or I think it's Tooney.
No, it's Toon. It's
Toon. All right.
It's my cousin. Shout out, cousin.
What up, cousin? Appreciate you. Then we got Keith Watkins in the building. Greetings from ATL. Salute. Appreciate you. Prime Minister Sports, thank you so much for being here. If you guys can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, as we are a newer channel, a newer show on the channel, it helps our algorithm with you guys being able to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And if you can, please also just give us a retweet on Twitter. We're trying to drive as much traffic as we can, not so that we can blow up, but so that we can build this community. We love connecting with people. We love building with people. We love being in different cities and getting to connect with those people that do watch the show, or when we're all in the city, being able to connect with everybody there. So we appreciate you guys. And now we're going to just start talking about our New York Knicks, because it's been a week since we, connected. And there's 4 games that have happened. But before we get into the games, one thing that is always going to be part of being an NBA fan is lists. There's lists that come out all throughout the season, some that you can truly get behind, and some that are absolutely ridiculous and makes you want to revoke all credibility and credentials from the people that put them out. But either way, whether it's a good list or a bad list, we all talk about them. All the spaces talk about them. There's retweets on whether we agree or whether we hate it. So we got to talk about the lists. And the first one that came out earlier this week is one of those thumbs down, which makes me want to not even, talk about this brand, but it was huge. All right. So we got this list right here, which is the top 25 players in the NBA. And I'm going to read them off. Nikola Jokic, okay, Luka, Giannis, Jason Tatum, Shea, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Anthony Edwards, LeBron James, Jalen Brunson, all right, Jaylen Brown, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Victor Wembanyama, John Morant, Tyrese Halliburton, Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, Paolo Banchero, Bam Adebayo, Kawhi Leonard, Tyrese Maxey, and Kyrie Irving. The fact that Joel Embiid is on this, the fact that street clothes Kawhi Leonard is on this, the fact that you got guys like Paolo Banchero that, though he's a great player, has been injured. We haven't really seen a lot of what he can do this season because of his injury. You got guys like Devin Booker, who, yeah, they're star players, but they're not playing like stars right now. You got guys like Kevin Durant, where you're just like, come on, how many times is he going to make a list without actually like doing anything to make his team that much better? And you got just people on this list that really, really don't make sense. And then you have a guy who's having a groundbreaking season like Karl Anthony Towns, and he's nowhere to be found in the top 25. When honestly, for me, I'm thankful that Brunson's at 12, but Towns is having a way better season so far, in my opinion, than Brunson is, because Towns has been playing well since game 1 or maybe game 2. But Brunson's now starting to get back to where he was, but he had a rough few games to start the season. So I'll throw it to you first, Apollo. What is your thoughts on this list? Who shouldn't be there? And why do you think they, gave the cold shoulder to Karl Anthony Towns?
Well, I mean, respect to all the guys on the list. These are all good players. I don't have any quarrels with you putting anyone's name up there that is up there. But you also have to take into account the kind of season that Karl Anthony Towns is having. There's no way, like, you had to expect that you were going to get some kind of lashback because you didn't include Cat in there. And I get it. It's they're probably going based off of how the last year ended and not how this year is beginning. If that's the case, then whatever. But if you're talking about like as of this year, there's no way Karl Anthony Towns is not in that discussion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially because half of these guys haven't touched I can't say half. A good number of these guys haven't even touched the basketball this year or recently just started touching the basketball. So, I mean, for what he's doing on a new team, even from the beginning, it was a struggle out maybe the first game, but there's no way you can't put Karl Anthony Towns in the top 25 if you're talking about what's happening so far this year, personally.
Yeah. So what about you, Billy? What are some of your thoughts?
I would like to know when this list was actually published, like when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it last week, like probably like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can see the Ringers. I'll Google that right now.
Yeah, while you Google that, I'll just go ahead and say it. This list is ass. All right, this list is ass. There's no reason why. Excuse my French, but there's no. Why is Joel 9 and he hasn't been playing?
He didn't even. Crazy.
Like Cat should be on here, and I'm not just saying that because he's on Knicks, but he should definitely be on here. Kawhi Leonard, stop, man. This dude he's been wearing street clothes all year. You know what I mean? Like Paolo Banchero, I get it. He's about to have a breakout year, but he's been hurt since the second week of the season. Like, so I gotta know. I need some investigation on when this list was actually made. This got to be before the season list, and they just put it out there. This list is bad.
Yeah. I don't know, man, because everywhere I'm seeing it, it's in the last. Let's see. In the last 2 days, everywhere that I've seen it is with the words "the updated top 25 players list."
Whoever hit send should be fired.
Crazy.
All right, whoever hit send on this list should be fired.
It's crazy to me because it's like I don't know how you can watch anything from the Knicks this season and not go, holy crap, not only is he playing well for the Knicks, but like he is playing incredibly well across the board. Like if you look at his stats, here's a little, tweet by Site NYK. Cat over his last 8 games is averaging 30.9 points per game and 12 rebounds per game. Like no Knicks center has recorded 30 points and 10 rebounds in an 8-game span since Patrick Ewing. Like, are you kidding me? Like Ewing is deemed as one of the best bigs. And here's the thing. I know a lot of us were very skeptical about whether or not Cat would be able to effectively play as a big for us, but minus needing to do some things defensively a little bit better, he has risen to the challenge of playing as our big man. Like those numbers are incredible. Like we know he can score, but rebound wise, he's been incredible. And then if you look at those two, that's great. But assist wise, even more is absolutely insane. So for me, I just don't know how that happens. I really don't know how that works.
Just a lack of, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to even get upset anymore because I'm so used to it at this point as a Knicks fan. Like people just always they just continue to not pay attention to what's going on over here. But and they're so ready to write us off every year. They look for a reason why we're not going to succeed, why we can't be consistent. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more lists this year that just have more nonsense that we got to ignore.
So I'll ask you guys, do you think that if he was putting up these numbers on another team that he would have gotten, shafted from the list?
Nah, because he's like, there's no reason why he shouldn't be on the list. I don't care what team he's on. Peace, Jay. There's no reason why he shouldn't be on the list. It's terrible. Look at these numbers he's got, man. Like, I don't even have the words. I really don't have the words, man. It's crazy, but it is what it is. It just shows you like Knicks bias, man, because it seems like whoever does play for the Knicks always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to lists like this. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, shout out to Jalen. Remember Jalen 12 behind LeBron?
Yeah.
That's the only reason why it's hard for me right now to say it might not be a Knicks thing. I personally think a lot of it could be how people still view Cat. You know what I mean? Like just in general, they still have that soft, you know what I mean? And since he's been here, man, I think he shedded a lot of that stereotype away.
Yeah.
Especially and even if he was soft, like you can't deny what he's been doing, man. Like you just 30 and 12. Like, come on, man. That's just a little bit ridiculous for you to just ignore.
It's just
I just find it disingenuous that you got Kawhi Leonard name on there.
Yeah.
That's the one that pissed me off the most. And I like Kawhi.
There's a few that pissed me off because if you look, like it's no shade to those players, But first of all, when he was healthy, Tyrese Maxey should be higher than a lot of these players. You know, the fact that he is 24 is insane. Someone who has been proven time and time again, and they continue to talk about how he'll play really great in one game and then struggle really bad in the next, is Tyrese Halliburton. The fact that Tyrese Halliburton is up there and freaking Karl Anthony Towns isn't is crazy to me. The fact that Joel Embiid is up there after barely playing in the season, the freaking team pretty much self-destructing, you know, and having to have team meetings like 15 games into the season, and you put homeboy there. I think, you know, I think people have to stop looking and go, but he's been MVP, you know, or in MVP talks, you know, like, why is that good enough credentials? You know, but actually what's happening right now is not good enough credentials to have you in that conversation. Because if I look, a lot of these players aren't affecting winning, you know, like Giannis. I love Giannis, but he's not affecting winning in any way, shape, or form. Doesn't being a top 25 player mean that you affect winning for your team? You know, because if so, Jason Tatum should be higher than he should. Shea Gilchrist-Alexander should definitely be higher than he should. You know, so things like that are a little mind-boggling to me. It just doesn't make sense.
The only name that really bothered me up there, and like I said, respect to the guy, but Bam Adebayo. Like, even if you made this list last week, what game was it this year that we played the Heat? And Carl, let me look at it right now. Carl had 44 and 13, and Bam Adebayo had 11 points and 3 rebounds. Like, what games are you guys watching? That's to me is kind of why I'm like,
if they are watching them,
if you're watching them at all, like, I think it's a cat thing. People have this thing about cat that they really don't want to let go of, which is cool. I love to fly under the radar as much as we possibly can and coast and get to the playoffs and then punch everybody in the mouth like we did before. So
yeah, no, and you know what's crazy is the whole soft thing is weird to me, you know, because it's like, what deems you as soft? You know, like, I'm sorry, 30, 12, and being, you know, as good as you are assist-wise, like, how do you get 30 points averaged a night and be soft? You know, like, I don't know any other player that I've been like, oh, yeah, those 30-point nights are soft. Like, I've never heard that before, you know? Like, I've never heard that for a player scoring those numbers.
Only person close is Steph. They tried to hit Steph with the soft thing because he was a small guard and all he did was shoot. He didn't bang in the paint and stuff.
But that's because he's a small dude, you know, like, exactly. And because he doesn't like confrontation, you know, like. But what does that say about every player that he's scoring 30 on?
Exactly.
You know, because no other center that we've played or that, you know, like, we're going to play that he scores those kind of numbers on can be considered tough if someone that's soft is able to score 30 plus points on them every night. Like you just said, he scored 40 plus on Bam Adebayo. How is that tough? Right. You know, how is that not soft to let another big score 40 plus on you? So that's crazy to me, because you look at other bigs numbers and people are like, yo, that big got 13 points, great game offensively. Like, what? You know, 44, 13, like, something's got to give. Shout out to Al Diddy in the building. Shout out to Kareem Grant. Shout out to Paris Duggar. Appreciate you so much. We're going to talk about Sims for sure. Shout out to our guy, Jay, Anytime Knicks. If you guys aren't following him, please do. Great content, great guy. Do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you can, give us a retweet of the live stream right now. Some of you know this is not a new show. It's just a new channel. But for some of you, this is a new show for you. So we're trying to rebuild that base, rebuild that following here on this channel. And we're doing everything that we can to do so. So if you could, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and continue to rock with us. So let's go to the next list, because that one got it way wrong. But at least this one is one that is a little bit better. Not a lot, but at least we're on the list. Okay, so this came out today, or yesterday. ESPN's best big threes in the NBA: Tatum, Brown, and White, Okay, cool. SGA, Will, Chet. Yep. All right, they're killing it out there. Jokic, Murray, AG. I don't know what year we're talking about because things are looking a little bit different, for them this season than they did before. Being that dominant squad that they were, they're struggling a little bit to get back to that. They're actually fifth in the West. So okay, but based off principle maybe of last season, Giannis, Dame, and Brooke. That one I have a problem with. Because on paper, maybe, but the Bucks are ninth in the East right now, and they don't look like they actually have any identity whatsoever. Matter of fact, Giannis said it earlier in the season, we don't have an identity, which is the same thing they said last year, so I don't know how that puts them at the 5 spot. This one pisses me off. Embiid, PG, and Maxey. Like, what have you seen that makes these guys a top 3? It's their 2-12 record. That totally makes sense of why those 3 are there. Or it's the fact that they're getting pissed off and making threats because people found out that they had a meeting 15 games into the season. And then it comes Brunson, OG, and Cat. For me, we should be at 4 at the least. Like, that should be the highest number, the lowest rating that we should be on that list. So what are your guys' thoughts on the list? Also, if you're in the chat, feel free to jump in on the conversation. We'd love to share your guys' list or thoughts on the list. So I'll go to you first, Billy.
I felt like I think Golden State should have been moved up more. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it should have been Steph, Dre, and Pods. I think it should be Steph, Dre, and Hield. Buddy Hield didn't get enough credit, man, for that addition that he brings to Golden State and what they've been doing. They're number 1 in the West right now. Yep. So I don't know why number 6 is even on here. Like, get it off. Like, it should be last.
Did they even play a game together yet?
Last night was the first game they played together. I was just about to say, last night was the first game they played together, and PG got hurt. Maxey had just came back. Embiid had his first 30-point game of the year, and he still lost. He lost to Memphis. But, I can't argue number 1. Hell, I can't argue number 2. Number 3, I can definitely argue because since Joker's been out, Murray hasn't been able to carry them. They've been losing. 5 is a joke. So we already talked about 6. That means, y'all can call me biased, whatever. I don't care. It's a Knicks nightcap. We should definitely be in the top 4. Ja, Bang, Triple J. Ja's been out, but that threesome once they're healthy, they do rock.
Yeah.
LeBron, AD, and Austin Reeves they should even be moved up more. Honestly, they're playing pretty good, man. So these lists.
Another one that I'm like, yo, the fact that freaking Mitchell, Garland, and Mobley are at 8. Yeah. Like, after pretty much having an undefeated season until recently, like,
I'm gonna say that, yeah.
They're 16-1, the best record in the whole NBA, and by a lot. Like, that's crazy. The closest team to them is the Celtics with 12 wins and the Golden State Warriors and Thunder. Like, and yet they are all the way down there. Like, those guys, especially Garland, is playing different this season. So those guys should definitely be within the top 5. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I didn't even see that with Cleveland. But again, it's probably people who's never even touched a basketball court in their lifetime making these lists, because that's where the analytic game and all that stuff comes into play. But that's a whole nother segment.
Yeah. I agree. All right, real quick, y'all. If you can, please hit that like and that subscribe button. We truly appreciate all of you in here right now. There's 100 plus rocking with us right now. Unfortunately, we can't log on to Apollo's stream right now on Twitter. Same thing with Erus and Billy. We're going to try again next week, but I think since he's on an iPad, he's having some problems with that as well. You know, we know that the more of you get to see that we're doing this, the more of you guys would support. So we appreciate you guys. Here's some of your guys' thoughts on that right here. This is a paper list. Facts, Jelani, appreciate you. We got, I can't complain on being fourth. We should be after Dallas and Denver behind us somewhere. So, all right, okay. Maybe fifth and Cleveland probably ahead of us. I'd be fine with that. But where we're at, there's just some people that definitely should not be there, which makes no sense. So shout out to you, Keith Watkins, for joining us. Appreciate you being in the building as well. But let's get going to the first games. All right. So these past week, we had 4 games, like I said, one of them being 2 games against the Nets. You know, it's crazy because there's certain players that just drive me nuts. And, you know, the Nets have that guy. The Nets really do have that guy. And I can't say that, like, I don't like his game, because obviously he's making an impact for them and he's getting those numbers against us. But that Cam Thomas dude drives me nuts. Like his ego, his pride, the way he just acts like he's something, that he's arrived, is a bit frustrating. And he started developing that last year. But they played, you know, they played against us. You know, they are fighters. You know, they're not winning right now, but you look at all their games, they're going into overtime. They're playing against good teams and they're fighting. So what were your guys' thoughts? I'm not going to give my thoughts, so I'm going to let you guys go first. But what were your guys' thoughts on those Nets games? What were your takeaways, both good and bad, from those 2 games?
Like I said, the last show, we better have one of them damn games because it was going to get ugly. Salute to you, Eddie. Man, like you said, I can't stand Cam Thomas. He's so annoying, but a little attitude. The guy's nice. I give him his credit. Offensively, there's not a shot that he doesn't like. He'll take any shot. No matter who's open, who else is on the team, it don't matter. But he's not a kind of guy I would ever want on my team, and it's not a disrespect to his talent. He completely looks off his teammates, and I always see his teammates just look like out of it because he doesn't involve them in the game. So that was a joy to beat them while he was going off and doing whatever he was. I mean, I hate that he has to come in the Garden and just go crazy all the damn time. I'm sick of that. But you know, they played well. They played well those 2 games. I didn't like the fact that we were up the first game. We were up by 21, and they came back and made it a game kind of like what we did, but they, just like we did, they didn't finish it out. Thank God. But you know, I mean, I'm glad we took care of business. I wish we didn't have to struggle with them as much as we did. But you know, at the end of the day, it's a rivalry, and they always wake up to play in the Garden. I'm not surprised. I don't really get too upset at how well teams play against us, especially if one of those games is in the Garden, because those guys show up all the time to play on that stage. It doesn't matter what team they are on. So, you know, it's just part of being a Knicks fan. I'm cool with it. I'm just glad we got those dubs.
Yeah. What were your thoughts, Billy?
Yeah, I almost echoing Apollo, man. Cam Thomas does this thing, man. He comes in the Garden and he just has no fear. He did that last year against us as well, man. Matter of fact, I think he's up for trade talks. I read a couple of days after that game, you know, the phone is open to trade Cam Thomas. So, but good young player, man. He doesn't really have a lot of expression on the court. Does his thing, but it's always F Brooklyn. You know, I don't care. The first game was mad competitive, a little too competitive for my liking toward the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the second game, man, Tibbs made the adjustment to double team Cam Thomas. Don't let them be so comfortable from the 3-point line like they was on that comeback they had in the 4th quarter. And it really disrupted their whole offense once Cam Thomas, you know, didn't find the game so easy the second time we played them on that Sunday. On the second part of that back-to-back. So, I mean, you know, anytime we beat Brooklyn, it's always a good time. I don't care where it's at or whatever. Just it's always F Brooklyn for me. So screw them. They just they're natting our way. We got bigger things going on right now to be worried about the Brooklyn Nets, man. So let's beat them. Don't play with our food and get them out our way.
Yeah. And one thing you guys, brought up, what was the trade talks. Right now, it's apparently the season of fire sale when it comes to the Nets. Apparently, everybody is available for trade. I think that once they made that Mikal Bridges trade, I think they decided that this is not the team. We need do something different. We need to do something to change the trajectory of this squad. So apparently now he's up for trade. Cam Johnson's apparently available. Dorian Finney's available. It seems that everybody is available except for the guy Claxton that they gave the extension to. So it looks like they're trying to get picks or, a player that they can build this new franchise on. And I think that it's actually a smart move because if you look at it, their coach he's a fighter. Like this guy, I think, is with the right pieces and being able to have them from the ground up and build how he wants, their team to play. I think this Jordy Fernandez guy is the truth. Even this squad of replacement players are competing, at least night in and night out. So I think that they're getting their value up and that they're going to rebuild. So I think that's what's going to happen with those guys. I think that this is a season of them. Let's just get what we can get for our guys and look towards the future. I honestly think they should sell in New York, go somewhere else. But it is what it is. They're going to do what they do. Leave the Barclays Center to the real New York team in the Liberty and then take them somewhere else, But Sherwin, appreciate you for coming through. As always, Nostalgic Nick, thank you so much. Izzy Black's in the building. If you guys can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit a retweet. And without further ado, we got my guy, Mr. Diehard Eru, finally made it off the subway. What up, what up, what up?
Hey, what's up, guy? You caught me putting my makeup just now, man.
Oh, it's okay.
Putting his lipstick on. You seen that?
You see, right?
Getting all dolled up for me. That's cute. I appreciate it.
Yeah, what's up? What's good, guys?
Chilling.
My guy.
Yeah, good pod so far. I was listening to you guys while I was coming in.
Yeah, we were just, chopping it up about the New Jersey Nets and, playing against them for those two games. But I'll get your thoughts on those two games before sharing my final thoughts on those two games.
Oh, right now I'm on right now. All right, I mean, it's Brooklyn, man. We got to put some respect on the Barclays Center. It is in New York. It's in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? The place. I mean, it's a traffic nightmare. That spot. It's an eyesore. Modell's is still across the street. It's still closed and stuff. So it's kind of ridiculous. But their team is ridiculous too, man. They're I don't know what they're trying to do over there. They got a bunch of nuts. Cam Thomas is a nut, but at the same time, those guys play hard, man. The guy Fernandez, I believe his name is. So I mean, you got to give them some respect. I just remember back in the days where the Nets used to come on Channel 9 in New York, WWOR, and we used to watch them all the time because unless you had cable, you would watch them. You would also watch TBS because if you had the illegal cable or had your wire connected to the roof or whatever, you will watch the Atlanta Hawks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So you got a chance to watch these different teams. So we gotta respect them. And I appreciate the growth that they're having right now, rather than always trying to upstage us all the time by getting like the newest, superstar or whatever and trying to make the super team to upstage the Knicks. I think now they're learning their lesson. They're at the bottom of the heap now, and they gotta earn their respect in New York City, and that's what it's all about. You have to earn your keep here. You just can't like with the Karl Anthony Towns nickname. It pissed me off. The big boy. There you go. What we gonna call him and stuff like. You gotta earn that stuff, man. So I think that's the whole issue with the Nets to me. Is that they never earned their keep here. They just thought, oh, we're gonna move to Brooklyn. Yo, we're gonna take over New York, man. That's not how it works here, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got to put in your work. So those are my thoughts on the Nets. Period. Even without talking about the game itself, you know.
Yeah. My one takeaway from that game is that first game was way too close for comfort at the end. 124 to 122. The second game was 114 to 104. So for me, I wasn't ecstatic with how we played those games. I'll be honest. Like, I was not ecstatic with how we personally played those games. However, when you see a team 2 games in a row, it's at least good to see that the closer game was the first one, that changes were made and that there was progression from one game to the next. Because if you're beating them by 10-12 one night and then you're only beating them by 1 bucket at the end that next night, that's a regression to me. You've fallen backwards in how you play that team. So for me, it was at least a positive thing to see that we headed in the right direction when it came to us playing that team and doing better that second game than that first game. To me, those are small victories that add up. Is that even though it wasn't like, oh, we blew them out the next time, we still beat them and played better in that second game than in that first game against them. Like you guys said, we locked down Cam Thomas a lot more in that second game than in that first game. That's at least progression. There's so many times we would see the same thing back to back and be like, yo, what is Tibbs doing? This is the same thing we saw last game that we got torched on. The same player, the same this, the same that. This to me is forward progress for a team that's still learning. If you guys have any thoughts on that, on the net stuff, then we'll do that. If not, we'll kick it to the next spot.
Well, I just because I didn't really talk about the game, I was just talking about the Nets in general. But I'm looking at the last couple games with this win streak. Like, it's almost as if it's like a scrimmage. Like the Knicks are just still trying to figure out how we're going to score, where the defense is coming from. But the progression of these games that came up. 2 bad teams. We played the Nets back to back, Washington, and then we played the Phoenix Suns who didn't have their top players. So it was kind of like scrimmages now. So I feel like the Knicks are starting to get loose and whatever. So now the next test now is these other teams that are a little bit more ready than the guys that we played. So we'll definitely get a chance to see what this is about as time goes on.
Yeah.
You're gonna say
Billy,
something?
You were about to say something?
Yeah, Billy.
Oh no, I was like, yeah, we can move on because I'm looking in the chat and this my holy king. He must be a Brooklyn fan because he's talking all kind of trash. And nobody care about Brooklyn, bro. That just shows y'all. You're in a Knicks YouTube channel right now talking about the Brooklyn Nets. That's how good you guys are right now. You can
all right, we're not gonna give the Nets any more attention. My holy king, salute to you. But I pray you're not a Nets fan, man, because if so, I think you're here because misery likes company. I hit the like button. He said I hit the like button. Appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button too. Next step is to buy a New York Knicks jersey and become a real New York basketball fan. We appreciate you though. All right, so I made sure to hold off on this because Mr. Eru asked me to wait. He actually texted me, was like, yo, I'm going to be getting off the subway late, my guy. Like, anyway, you could wait on that whiskey thing. I want to hear some of your tasting notes. So we definitely pushed the whiskey talk back a little bit. So, all right, so today, once again, shout out. This is the last week that they are, part of our sponsors, but shout out to Redwood Empire once again. If you are here, do us a favor, grab yourself a drink. That could be an alcoholic drink. If you are sober and you are staying away from alcohol, grab yourself a nice soda, a water, a virgin cocktail, whatever you want. But right now, we're going to welcome to some whiskey education. I'm going to talk to you about what we smell, what we taste, what's in the drink, but also reminding you to drink responsibly. Please do not go driving after you drink. Chill out, relax, keep it chill. And yeah, the next one we're talking about is what Mr. Guard Up Knicks got in his hand right now. This is this beauty right here.
It's a little blurry.
All right. This is called the Van Duzen Straight Rye Whiskey. So we've tried a wheated, we've tried it a heavy malted, we tried a full-on bourbon, and this is the rye. And I think this one's going to be Billy's favorite. I really think he's going to enjoy this one. For those of you who don't know, we're laughing because Bully was not able to be on the season so far, at least until a few weeks in, but he is enjoying Billy's whiskey. So shout out to Bully. So this one right here, all right, this is a straight rye, okay? It's the Van Dusen. Here's a little picture of it that I took for them to give you some of the breakdown of it. So it's a high malt mash, all right? It's 94 proof. And so it's not super high proof. So for people that aren't huge whiskey drinkers, they would still really, really enjoy this one. Sometimes when it's a straight rye, if it's too high proof, they're not able to really get into it. So I'll let you guys sniff around a little bit. And I'm going to do this one a little bit different. All right. I'm going to ask you real quick, Eru, what are you smelling?
Here we go. He's going to work his magic.
I don't know. I can't be as freaky as Phil, man. Freaky Phil with the dialect.
What you smelling? What you smelling?
I don't know, man. This is a little bit more lighter than the rest of them. The other ones were very distinct. This one is a little bit more lighter.
This is light. It is light.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. So I'll start naming some things off, and you guys see if you can smell it.
Is there honey? Is there honey in there?
All right. All right. All right.
That sounds so weird. I'm gonna start naming stuff off. You tell me if you guys smell it. Like, good night, everybody.
Yeah, y'all are crazy. All right, so this is a straight rye, which means the higher percentage is rye whiskey. So it's 67% rye, 31% malted barley, 2% wheat. So like I said, it's 94 proof, so it's kind of light. But if you swish it around and smell it a little bit, you're gonna get a little bit of like a fruit. And it's not more like an apple or a, like the other ones. This one's more of like a raspberry kind of like smell to it. So move it around a little bit. You'll get little hints of raspberry. Some of it could be like a raspberry Pez or like those little raspberry Haribo gummies where it kind of tastes, smells like raspberry, but like not full on just fruit, but like a little bit artificial on the fruit smell. But it also has like,
Raspberry Pez is right on the.
How the hell does he do that shit?
How does he do that? Raspberry Pez. We said raspberry.
I promise you, he's on some sorcery shit.
Not an apple, but raspberry Pez or like raspberry Pez. I mean, yes, like raspberry Pez.
So raspberry Pez. There is hints of like hot cocoa in there.
He's sick.
So there's some hot cocoa. There's also hints of like floral. So like imagine drinking like a hot cocoa, walking by some flowers on the street. But then the last one where you get like that chocolate, it's kind of like chocolate covered caramel that you could buy in the store. Where it's like those Raisin chocolates or those Sanders chocolates that have like a little salt on them. So it's like raspberries mixed with that. So it's like one of those fruit charcuterie boards that have like, raspberries and chocolate and sea salt and stuff like that. So that's what you get on the nose. I'll let you guys go in for your first sip. Remember to exhale before you do so that you get all the flavors in there.
Billy.
Cheers, my guy. Cheers to everyone in the chat.
Thank you. Bully.
That's a big booty Brenner up in the place.
Never mind, Bully.
Brenner. All right, y'all. This is a good one.
Yeah, this is good.
All right. So you get that rye spice at first.
That's smooth.
And then all of a sudden it's smooth and it's also sweet. So it kind of takes me back to my melting pot days when I was like, first in college, and I was like, oh, where do I go out to eat? Take a girl out to the melting pot, so you got that like chocolate, but you also, so it's like chocolate fondue on a piece of fruit. So imagine like that raspberry dipped in like hot fondue chocolate. So you get that flavor off the bat. You get like that chocolate Tootsie Roll that you got in that first one, but it's like not just Tootsie Roll, but it's like Tootsie Pop, like a raspberry Tootsie Pop. And then lastly, I get like a double shot of espresso with like a little bit of like sprinkles of honey. And that's where that honey comes in that you smell earlier. You get it on the tongue with a little bit of, that espresso. So those kind of flavors will combine a little bit of cinnamon, honey, espresso, raspberry, Tootsie Pop. And of course you get, that melting pot chocolate. So keep sipping. Let me know what you guys think. See if you see those, feel those, taste those, anything like that.
If I sip too fast, it's gonna be early night, so I gotta take it easy.
Yeah, everything you said, I definitely, you know, the box of chocolates. You know, I'm thinking like, you know, like Valentine's Day chocolates when you bust open the, you know, the cherry inside the chocolate thing. That's what I'm getting a little. You know, but it's still whiskey though. It's definitely whiskey.
Yeah.
It's not like super sweet, but I like it. I like this one.
Yeah,
I can taste the chocolate. I can taste the chocolate for sure.
Yeah.
And that rye spice is what balances it, you know, being a rye spice. But if it was just all sweet, but it didn't have that hit of spice, then it wouldn't be well rounded. But it does. So shout out to all my freaking melting pot people in the chat. I see people lighting it up like I took a girl to melting pot. See, we all there. We're all there. You know, we all. You know, as Knicks fans, we got a lot more in common than just the orange and blue. So salute to all you guys. Cheers to my guys. Appreciate you guys. Second year of the season. Gonna keep growing from here.
No doubt. Yeah, I want to get our wives together, man. If we ever get a chance to hang out and get our wives together, because I would like to ask you, your wife. So, how did you guys meet? What did he say? Like, hey, girl, you want to try some Pez?
Some
raspberry Pez.
Yo, it's crazy. It's crazy because when me and my wife actually got together, I didn't drink at all. Like I spent like, and this is all part of my crazy story. I spent about 10 years completely abstaining and like was actually full-time in a band like against it, you know, part of this like whole subculture, just because I saw it so poorly used by my family and friends and so many lives ruined. So like for me, I never thought that I'd be doing this, you know, it was a crazy journey, but like for 10 years, I was completely away from anything like that. So we got married. She would drink wine or cocktails. And I was just like, nope. Like I was always the DD. So it is what it is, but we're going to keep talking about Knicks because there's some people in here that are like, all I got is soda or a Heineken. Now I don't want to make you guys, you know, not feel like you could be part of the conversation. But we will get all of our wives together. I promise, you know, all of us plus Billy and his wife, we're going to do something. Like we're going to get the families together. We're going to do a big old, you know, whiskey and basketball party. It's going to be dope. It's going to be really dope.
Yeah,
even if I got to rent somewhere out.
I was opposite when I met my wife. I was a blazing alcoholic during that time, man. So I don't know what she thought, you know, about me at that time. But we're here 10 years now, 10 plus.
We thank God for His grace.
I'm not married, by the way, but Bully he'll probably invite himself in my place since he has all my whiskey and everything. So.
No, you're not married, but like you can bring bring Shorty, you know. I'm sure that'll happen. All right. And here's one thing, Billy, I do promise you are getting samples of all these from me personally because Bully stole yours. So, all right. So we're going to go to the next part. All right. We played that game. Then we played Washington. All right. Washington's Washington, you know, like to me, I don't really see anything, developing there. Like I think that team is a train wreck. I feel like they're about to blow it up as well. I don't see anything good coming from that organization. Poole looks like he's lost all of his touch. Even though he's their best shooter right now, it's still not good. It's just that's how little of competition is on their squad. What was your guys' thoughts on that game? I'll just pass it around real quick. I'll start with you, Eru, since you just hopped in.
Yo, the Wizards are a waste, bro. I mean, like everything that they were doing, and we're just like, what are they trying to do? I felt bad for Kuzma a little bit, you know, but Kuzma looks like he's losing a step and stuff. That guy Poole, you mentioned Poole is a nut. You want to talk about Cam Thomas? Like Poole, it just does whatever he wants to do. You know, it's bugged out. So I hate to see it because I mean, that area, the DMV area, definitely needs a team. But I mean, it's to the point now where they're about to move to Arlington. It's like maybe they should just keep moving, maybe go to Seattle or something like that. Because I mean, you know, they're totally pissing away that franchise, and it's kind of like sad to see. You know, the Washington Bullets. You know, they've been around for a long time. You know, like shout out to Black Jesus, just had his birthday the other day. One of the greatest players they ever played for the Washington for the Bullets organization, I should say. You know, they were in Baltimore at the time. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you know, it sucks to see them like that, but it was kind of like a waste of time, kind of, you know, like you just wanted the game to end already. you know, because you didn't want nobody to get hurt and stuff. So, you know, it was that type of game. So, like you said.
Yeah. I'll go with you, Billy.
Yeah, Washington game was just it was another scrimmage for us to try to get our stuff together, improve on what we lack. You know what I'm saying? I read today that Kuzma, he's up in trade talks now. They're gonna try to ship him out as well. I mean, look, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not mad that we're playing teams that are either weak or injured or whatever, because we was that team that everybody couldn't wait to see in the playoffs or prior to the playoffs because all the injuries we had. So I'm not going to apologize for no L's. I'm not going to apologize for the softness of our schedules and nothing like that. So as far as Washington, I'm just glad we took care of our business, man. We didn't play around. We didn't drop down to the level of our competition. We was like tops in the league last year with beating teams under 500. And so I hope we continue that trend this year. But Washington is terrible, man. Like them guys just over there collecting a check. Like I said, Kuzma's about to get. He's in the trade talks. I kind of wanted Kispert to be a Knick for a little bit before they gave him that contract. I'm not gonna lie, he could have been a nice little clip. And Jordan Poole, he's just collecting a check too, man. It's just they're a joke, but I'm glad we didn't play around with our food with them, man. So
yeah. And here's what I will say. I am so with you, Billy, because a lot of people are like, why are we celebrating these victories? Da, 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 da. I don't think it's celebrating these victories, but we've all said we didn't have time to really gel in the offseason. You know, like we made the big trade right before the season. Games like these are great for us. This is great opportunity for us to practice, because even when you practice against your own team, it's not the same. Like it's not. It's just not the same when you're scrimmaging your own guys on your own squad. So even if it's practice against professionals. It's practice against other players that we can grow this against, you know? So for me, I love these games right now in the season. Before we have to play the actually like good playing teams, why not beat these teams? Why not give our team chemistry to know how each other work? Looking at Jalen Brunson and Cat learning how to really work together, learning how to really execute this pick and roll and doing it beautifully, learning that Mikhail is, you know, elite from the mid, and that's what he really needs to do on top of shooting the three, you know? So I pretty much completely agree with you that I think that this is the perfect time to be playing these games and to celebrate that, because then when those teams come that we really need to compete against, we're actually going to have some, like, you know, mileage under our belt and we'll be able to. So shout out to my guy, Jay Boogie. He said, well, look what I found. Shout out to my family. Blessings, health, happiness to you all. Hit that like button. Billy on YouTube. Salute, salute, salute. 3 capital L's. Yes, sir, Jay. We appreciate you, bro. So good to see you here. You've always been so supportive of everything we all do. So thank you so much. We appreciate one of the hardest working guys in Knicks content. Whoever hasn't talked about that Wizards game.
I mean, I'm like Billy said, I'm glad we didn't play with our food. That game was just, my wife asked me because it was a back-to-back. She's like, the Knicks play again today? And I was like, yeah, but they're just playing the Wizards. Like, it was kind of like, like, it's not really a game. It was like literally just a scrimmage. I was kind of just like, I'm watching. Like, that was one of the days like I could watch the game and do other stuff, like help with the kids and stuff, and like put some stuff in the laundry, because it was a game that you just didn't really expect them to make it challenging. I mean, they tried, but they're like that roster is so sorry, man. It's a really, really sorry roster. I didn't know what they were gonna get when they got Jordan Poole, but when I saw what it was, that they got swindled. The Warriors swindled the hell out of the Wizards out of that deal. But you know, I mean, they had to make a move contractually, but you know, I'm glad we didn't play with our food. These guys are using these games to develop chemistry. I know it's a lot of games that we're, you know, people are not really going to give us credit. Like the next 12 games, I think there might be 3 formidable teams, if we're really being honest. So we're going to hear that for a long time, if that's going to be the case. But I really don't care, because at the end of the year, you're not going to be looking at the teams we play. You can look at the record. And as long as our record says that we're a winning team, that's all I care about. We should be beating the teams that we should be beating. At the end of the day, I do want us to start looking better against better teams, but we're also still building chemistry at the same time. So I'm not losing my shit too much, but we should have won that game, and we did handily.
Yeah. And here's the thing though, is like there are games that we ended up losing where I'm like, man, we should have won that game, So to me, it's kind of balancing itself out, because if we would have had the chemistry that we're starting to see now during those games, we for sure would have won, So I think right now, what's really going to be the test of how we're starting to gel is going to be next week's games on the 25th and the 27th, where it's the Nuggets and the Mavericks. I think those two games will show, because the Nuggets are the Nuggets. They have that chemistry, they have that connection. And the Mavericks, we always tend to screw ourselves in some way, shape, or form. Something miraculous happens and Luka scores and off the backboard, is able to beat us in the last second of the game. Like, so for those two games, I think it's going to be
Luka's out.
Yeah, I saw that today.
How long is he out for? Oh, yeah, like 2 weeks or something?
Still a couple weeks right now.
Here we go. I told you we're going to hear more of this shit.
I mean, like I said, I'm fine with it, because like everybody was throwing pom-poms when they beat us last year. And no, we was hurt since January of last year. Right. And we still had to come to work, you know what I'm saying, have our lunch box and do what we make it do. So to be on the other end of that, and we're still hurt. Like we're not healthy. We're still missing key pieces in our rotation as well. So, at first I was like, man, we ain't beat no good teams yet. This, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm looking at the silver lining. I'm like, man, you know what? Bump that. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So play who's on our schedule, beat them up. They just happen to be good. But I'm not going to apologize for getting a dub.
No, not at all. That's what's up. All right, cool. So let's not spend too much time. We got 30 minutes before Dexter joins us. All right. So first, one thing, it's not going to be anything we're going to chat about, but something that I thought was really cool. This came up on my Twitter and it kind of made me smile. So I want to highlight it. All right. So Monica McNutt and sideline reporter Daisy Duck will call an animated version of the Knicks Christmas game on Disney. McNutt and Spurs and Knicks players will be animated using real-time visualization technology. I think that's pretty dope. As a huge Disney fan, I'm excited for this. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this game, especially because I know my kids are going to be totally intrigued to watch this game. So it feels a lot less like crappy dad-like to watch a basketball game on Christmas when your kids are like super stoked because friggin' Donald Duck is on the court with Jalen Brunson. Like, I'm excited for that. Like, that's gonna be dope. So shout out to them for doing something new and different. And I think that's kind of part of the approach. Is like, how many of us diehards are like, dang, we it's Christmas. We want to watch the game. But if family's over, or if it's, right at gift time, whatever, so being able to do that, I think, is a huge thing for families to be able to actually get, some of the young ones involved and watch the game. So shout out to them for doing that. But let's talk about this Suns game. Okay. So we beat them 138-122. And like I did a few weeks back, we're going to start with a recap from our guy, Doug. Here we go. Shout out to my guy, Doug. I love that, though. Let the chemistry build. Like these games, that is the key to me, is letting the chemistry build. And we're seeing that. Matter of fact, this is a great stat right here. Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are on pace to be the first guard/center duo to average 25 points per game since Kobe and Shaq. Like, That's no small feat. Like,
Mhm.
and it's starting to come together. Like this is a duo that seriously never played even in practice together until like one day before their first preseason game. Like, and to say that they are approaching being the next duo to be able to do that since Kobe and Shaq, that's huge. So to me, these games are about that chemistry. These games are about watching that. And so what were your guys' takeaways from the game? I'll let you guys talk about those before I talk about mine. And I'll start with you this time, Billy.
It was a great wire-to-wire finish, man. Again, we know Phoenix came in with injuries or whatever, but we didn't play to the level of the competition. Didn't play around with our food. Jalen has been our captain is back. Our captain is back, and what I mean by that is, especially being on Knicks Twitter, man, bro. There's a lot of people, a lot of contingency, like, yo, he needs to take a step back, let Cat do his thing, and he just come in and bits and bits. No, they can be great together. That's why, you know what I'm saying? They were one guy wasn't brought here to make the other guy better, or vice versa. They could be great together. You know what I'm saying? We saw that last night. Both of them had 30-point double-doubles. They could be great together. Brunson had 36 and 10. Cat had 34 and 10 rebounds. But Jalen has 10 plus assists 3 games in a row. So last night against Phoenix, man, this is what I saw. Now, there were some things I didn't like, and I'll get into that real quick too. But what I saw was good. Our defense led our offense, which created a faster pace going up and down the floor. You know what I'm saying? Them guys was running. Every time they created either a stop or a turnover, boom, they was going down the floor, and the ball was up with like 18 seconds left still on the shot clock or whatever it was. I think that was the best shooting 3-point performance of the season by the whole team. They scored 44 points in the first quarter. And one thing me and Eddie been talking about, man, during these post-game spaces, we said it last week, was like, yo, there's a record right now going back to last year when this team gets like 30-plus assists.
Yep.
Right now, to date, I think they're like 13 or 14 and 1 or 14 and 2, something like that, right? Mm. But they got 30-plus assists 3 games in a row. And me and Eddie I was like, Eddie, I think averaging 30 assists, that's kind of high. That's why the number has only been like 12. We've only been like 12 and 1 or whatever. And so I've told him the last couple of games, I'm like, yo, Eddie, I might have to reconsider about, the Knicks not being able to hit that 30 assist mark per game, because if they stay this efficient and with all these guys on the floor that's finding their touch from the offensive end, I think 30 assists can be made with still like 5 minutes to go in the game. You know what I'm saying? Our offense is cooking. I've never seen a Knicks offense like this. It's cooking, and it's very efficient, man. These guys are shooting over 50% from the field. And it's like I'm almost confident, even Cam Payne's ugly shot, that when the ball is released, it's going in. Yeah. And right now, I'm more excited. I'm excited now to see Cam Payne, and when Deuce get back from that knee inflammation, how much better our bench will be, because we're last in bench scoring in the NBA. We don't have like 18 points a game. We're still last in free throw, going to the free throw line. You know what I'm saying? But last night against Phoenix, man, I ain't gonna lie, it was still shaky. Phoenix, we let Royce O'Neal cook a little bit, and we still give up a lot of threes on the defensive end. But against them, man, I love Jalen found his spots. He just likes playing in Phoenix for some reason, because last year he scored 50 and he did his thing last night. Then, Cat came in and did his thing. Cat had a quiet 34 points. It was quiet to me. I really didn't notice he had that much until the end of the game. But I know I'm rambling a little bit, man. But against Phoenix, man, it was just a whole bunch of running, gunning, and them guys just running the floor. Phoenix will try to make a little run back, and Tibbs will call a timeout. Got timeout, man. We go back up by 19 to 20, whatever. So, I mean, I love what our offense is doing, man. I think our defense needs to tighten up a little bit. Stop giving up so many threes. And, they still scored 122 points. You know what I'm saying? That's without KD and Bill. So that's got to get addressed. But other than that, man, our offense is cooking. I'm kind of speechless. It's cooking.
Yeah.
And right now with Brunson and Cat doing their thing at the same time with Miguel, his midi is unstoppable. And that's probably like one of the worst games OG had. You know what I'm saying? And hell, it's the first time in over 30 years we scored back-to-back 130-point games.
Yep.
So
yep.
It's crazy,
That's what's
man.
up. All right, Apollo. What was your thought on the game?
I mean, I would have liked to beat them with KD. I'll say that. I'm not going to take away from what they did. I would have liked to beat them with KD because KD he rubs me the wrong way. I don't know. I love his game, but his personality rubs me the wrong way. Especially after the game, you see that Brunson tried to dap him up, and he kind of like act like he didn't see him.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, all right, cool, all right, So I really wish he was there for that L, but on the behalf of KD, the rest of the team got cooked, and that's just how we should have taken care of business yesterday. You know what I mean? I'm proud of these guys for actually doing what they're supposed to do. Shout out to Jericho Sims because he came through and he played a pretty solid game in the little 13 minutes he was in there. But even going back to last game, he's starting to just be a little bit more useful.
Yeah.
He's being a little bit more. You're not going to see it in the stats, of course. You're not going to see it in the stats, but he's starting to be more useful. Josh Hart starting to throw him lobs. I wish other guys would throw him lobs. That's one thing that I don't really see much on this team that I would love to see is more lobs.
Hey, Apollo, real quick. Every time Hart throws a lob, I always tweet, Josh Hart has the most lobs on the team. He's like the only one. He's the only, I swear to God, every time he's the only one that throws lobs, bro.
It's so annoying because these guys really share the ball well. And Sims is almost always in the dunker spot. So, and I used to say the same thing about Mitch all year last year. And the year before, I'm like, even before we traded RJ, I'm like, RJ's the only guy that throws Mitch alleys. Like, Brunson doesn't really throw Mitch alleys. You know what I mean? Like, I like to see our bigs be involved. Like, if they're not going to be back to the basket, you know what I mean, kind of guys, get them involved with that. They're setting you good screens. If they're rebounding, get them a lob. This guy's a high flyer, bro. Like, he literally built his career around dunking, and we barely see him dunk. Throw him a lob, please. Like, just throw him a lob. But like I said, I'm glad to see him being more effective. But yeah, the campaign starting to play better, hitting his shots. That's what I'm looking for. At this point, I know that the starting lineup, they're starting to develop chemistry. Now I'm looking to see, is the bench developing chemistry? How well can we trust them on the court without having to throw the starters back in the game like we had? I don't know what game that was. Washington.
That was a terrible first 4 minutes of the fourth.
Oh my God. He put all of the rookies in, and I know coach was over there shivering the entire time. I know he was, because it was just this, and I tweeted out when it happened. I said, see, and this is why he does not run. This is why he does not run those lineups, bro. This is why he doesn't run those lineups. Like, it has to be staggered. But these guys started to come. They're starting to come together on the bench. Tyler Kolek is starting to play better. So like these guys are beating teams right now we're supposed to beat. Of course, a lot of these teams are injured, so are we. But at the end of the day, guys like Kolek and Huck Porty, even Pacome Daddy, they need these games to get acclimated. They need confidence, you know what I mean, to feel like they're part of the team. You know what I'm saying? Why not have a little bit to your highlight reel? But at the end of the day, they played the way that they were supposed to play at an away arena. So I'm glad they took care of business. Yeah.
All right, Eru, I'll let you go before I go.
Well, just want to double down what you said about KD. KD was walking past, Brunson. He walked past Brunson, but Cat literally had to reach out and touch him. You know what I'm saying? Because he was just gonna walk right past. So I mean, he's a weirdo, man. I think he could have played, but he just, I don't think he wants to give us a satisfaction, or whatever, to see him, in the arena. So he's gonna show up in New York just for his own brand and stuff like that. And I just same thing. He just rubs me the wrong way. With the Jericho Sims thing, man, throwing them alley-oops. Did you see the play with Josh Hart yelled at him like, yo, man, where are you going? He was underneath the basket, and he like literally left the guy to go box out. And Josh is like, yo, where are you going? You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of funny. But
I love it.
Yeah, that's basically Jericho Sims. He doesn't pay attention, bro. He look like, I don't know what's up. He reminds me of one of my kids. It's like, yo, man, dude, are you are you all right, man? What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of those guys.
Got him with the Jordan, like.
Yeah. Can you see me, man? How many fingers do I have up? You know what I'm saying? So, but he's dope, man. He rebounds. He hurts people out there. He sets good screens and stuff. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. But just as far as Phoenix and stuff, and just the way the Knicks play, just in general, like we got to get used to like this style of play because, like you said, we've never seen a Knicks team play like this up until the 70s, and I think we've all missed the 70s. We were all too young for that, what I'm saying. But the 70s, they actually played it up and down. Everybody passed the ball and stuff. So now I'm looking at the stats. I mean, like everybody's like literally really a good passer, man. We got I think OG has 2 assists per game. Everybody else is basically 3 assists per game, for the most part. Aside from Deuce 2.5 or whatever. But the Knicks are passing the ball really, really well with the top 7 guys. You know what I'm saying? So, this is the team that we are. So if we're gonna be passing the ball and also pace too. They keep talking about the Knicks don't have good pace, but I look at the game and it looks like the Knicks are running up and down pretty good. So I don't know how to determine pace, but it's just something that we have to get used to. We used to the grind it out. We used to the defense. We want the defense. We want the bully ball and that type of thing, but we're not playing that. I don't think this team is on that path. I think we're a finesse team. We will play defense, but it's not going to be like your uncle's defense. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be your grandfather's defense. It's not going to be our defense for the 90s. It's going to be something else that we just have to figure it out. And I think it's fun to see it develop, because it's just like it just kind of like opens up our eyes to a different style of basketball, because you're used to seeing other teams playing similar like this. So to see our team play like this, it's kind of fun to see, man. So I kind of enjoy what I'm seeing with the Knicks as far as that.
Yo, sorry, I just went into the Matrix for a second. You there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Sorry, I'm cutting in and out on my end, so I appreciate y'all being, cool. If you can't hear me, let me know and I'll hit a refresh and let y'all take over for a second. For me, yes, obviously KD wasn't there. Whatever. My whole thing about these games, I'll start with the negative first, is that a lot of these games we're getting big leads and then losing them. Like we are losing these double-digit leads and getting to a point that we're like, oh, we're up 30. And then all of a sudden we're up 7. Like that is something that we really need to work out those kinks before we start playing these really good teams. Because if we start losing leads like that to some of the best in the industry, we're in trouble. Like with that's going to be a huge issue. So my whole thing is like, we need to make sure that we're not letting go of those leads. And a lot of it comes to defense, because offensively we're hitting on all cylinders. Like offensively, we are killing it right now. But did I cut out?
No, you're good.
You're good.
Okay. Offensively, we're killing it on all cylinders, but defensively, we're still a little suspect. Like we still need to figure it out. That game was a little bit better on seeing like a lot of defense leading to transition buckets. And we're actually really good at transition buckets when we're doing it right. So that for me is what we still need to focus on a little more, is clicking on defense. And I don't know if it's that like when our second unit comes in, we're not fully like able to, keep those leads because of the lack of players that we have in our second unit that can, produce and play defense. But that's one thing that we need to, keep an eye on is losing those leads. 2 things that I did see that I love, and I've seen this over the last few games, is Brunson is swishing and he's dishing. Like there is no one who thought Jalen Brunson was a ball hog can talk that talk anymore, after seeing what he's continued to develop and do. And some of these passes are just beautiful. Like some of these passes are incredible between him and Towns back to other players as well. Even to the point that guys like Cassius are saying 3 games in a row where Jalen Brunson has 10 plus assists. That's what I'm talking about. Like that's my PG. Like when players like Cassius are saying my PG, you know hell has frozen over, or our assist numbers are going through the roof. So shout out to, Cassius, shout out to Jalen Brunson on, being able to get his buckets, but also make sure that everybody is eating. And then also shout out to Josh Hart. Josh Hart is playing ridiculous basketball. Like, it's so crazy that you can talk about our starting five and you could talk about how OG Anunoby should, if he continues to play the way he does, should be considered in all-star talks. Then you go Josh Hart. If he continues to play like he does, he should be considered in all-star talks. Like, there's Twitter accounts that aren't Knicks Twitter talking about, is this guy having an all-star season? And that's huge. And so I'm confident in my shot right now. I'll leave the scared to shoot narrative for y'all. I like to play my game how I want to play my game, take my shots how I want to take them. I don't let anyone else dictate that. So someone posted, I wish I remembered who posted, but they were showing stats from like Cat as well, and how certain attempts are less and the percentages are less, but all of his efficiency numbers in his shooting, in his passing, in his, driving, all of his efficiency numbers have gone up. And I see that with all of our starting lineup when it comes to our offense. They're taking better shots. They're taking wiser shots. They're not just shooting for the sake of shooting. You're even seeing that with Jalen Brunson. He's being very selective in the shots that he's taking. So his numbers of shots have gone down throughout the season, especially compared to last season. So shout out to him as well. We got 14 minutes before Dexter Henry gets here. So if you can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We have over 290 something people in the building right now. So if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, retweet it, repost it on Instagram. It's streaming on my Instagram as well, at Phil_all_caps, like it is in my, handle right down there. You can retweet and repost that on, Instagram. But you guys brought up Sims, so I want to talk about it, okay? Because I was somebody that coming into the season had hopes for him. Then you guys heard in my first few episodes that I was just like, why I can't watch these minutes anymore. He looks like freaking Bambi, lost. And then all of a sudden, in these last few games, Jericho Sims looks like he's taking a turn. Like, he looks like he is playing way differently than he started this season. So these last 3 games, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is happening here? And it's kind of funny because me and Lee from the Nick of Time, we've been going back and forth because he's been like, pumping up him. And I'm like, no. And then after these like last 2 games, I'm like, crap, can I really say no? So someone started a Muse account for Sims. And I think it might be Lee. So they actually hit me in the tweet today with some receipts where they said, hey, heard you were talking smack. And it was because I said Sims minutes are hard to watch. And I said, nope, was just being honest. Those minutes were rough. He is playing better, definitely. But those minutes before were very hard to watch. And he said, Lee said you were talking smack about me. So shout out to Lee, either him creating that Muse account or having someone create it to come at me. But Sims has been playing different to the point where Tibbs is giving him a lot of kudos in post games about, you may not see it on the stats, but this guy defensively is altering a lot of players from coming into the paint. So shout out to Sims. My question for you guys is, and I know some people don't want to hear it, but I'm not saying we should do this, but always with the questions. Okay. There were talks of a Mitch trade to get Cat, so Mitch hasn't been off the table. Like, he's been presented to teams before. Just in this situation, they wanted DiVincenzo and not Mitch. If Sims continues to progress defensively, especially the way that Tibbs is praising him for, do you think this makes Mitch movable to then get something else that we may be missing in the starting lineup? So me and the Nick of Time crew, we have a chat and we were talking about it. And I was saying, if Mitch was to get moved, because Sims is able to fill this spot at a cheap contract and do the minutes that Tibbs needs him to do, what would be the missing piece? And for me, it would be a defensive-minded small forward who can also play, aggressively. Because if you look, you got Miles, you got Payne, both great, but small. And then you would go straight to Precious and Sims. So we were talking about the possibility of a small forward and who that person could be. So what are your guys' thoughts on, does this make, him movable if, Sims continues to progress? Because we do also have Huck Porty on standby, like, Xavier Marshall just said. Does that make him movable? Shout out to JT Riddick in the building. Appreciate you coming out as always. Does that make Mitch movable? And if so, what would we then look for? I'll start with you first. I'll go with Ebru on this one.
I mean, Jericho he's a hack, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's not a smart player and stuff, but I mean, like Tibbs has trained him to the point where he can set the screen, he can stop the balls, what he can do. Little things. You see guys yelling him, like we mentioned Josh Hart, but it's not just Josh Hart, it's other players too are like always talking to him on the side. It's like because he can't pay attention. So I mean, even though I say that, Mitchell Robinson is not necessarily that much better than him. You know what I'm saying? To tell you the truth, man. Like when Mitchell Robinson has it going and he's feeling good, he can really dominate a game sometimes. But then there's been times too where Mitchell Robinson also looks like he's just kind of out there just doing cardio and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, like if we can get better as a team, we can function with Huck Porty and Jericho Sims at the center. We can function with those two guys because we're talking about backup players at this point. Like it's not like we're gonna talk about them starting. And even though we were talking about it, but things are working with our starting five right now. So I don't think we're gonna be talking about starting Mitch when he comes back and that type of thing. I don't think that's what we need. But you're talking about a small forward or something like that. I always liked Finney Smith from the Nets, man. I love that dude, man. As far as money wise too, the money matches up actually dollar for dollar for Mitchell Robinson. So I would love to do that because they actually need a center, to tell you the truth. I think what's the name is hurt. You know what I'm saying? So they could take him for a little while or whatever, man. To hell with Mitchell Robinson, man. I like Dorian Finney-Smith would fit perfectly on the Knicks. He's a grunt. He could play basically every position except point guard. You know what I'm saying? And and he would play defensively. He could shoot the three really well. I mean, and you can see that he loves to mix it up. Him and OG almost went at it. You know what I'm saying? So, he's like a guy that we're missing. We're missing that guy that doesn't give a damn off the bench and that has a pulse. That actually, let's say if somebody gets hurt or needs a day off or something like that, Finney Smith can easily slide into any spot and then we'll be fine. So I would, I'm saying all this just to say that, like, if there's a trade that can make the team better, I don't think I'm going to be like, no, we can't trade Mitchell Robinson, man. Come on, man. Because like, what is Mitchell Robinson going to give us anyway? Because we only really need him to play 14 minutes for us off the bench. And if we're going to waste Mitchell Robinson in that way, then we can just use Jericho the way we've been using him, and we have Huck Porty in the cut also. So that's where I am with that.
Yeah. So one thing I'll say, it's pretty hilarious, and I wish I could do this, but it's not letting me. I was trying to share my screen because in the talk the other day, it's letting me share, but it'll only let me share like tabs, not my. Let me see if I'm this real quick. So in that chat, you mentioned him. That's exactly who I mentioned was him. My instant message right there. Okay. So right here, we're talking about it. Let me see does it make it bigger or did it go away? Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can see it.
All right. So we're talking, and that's exactly, I said, if Sims starts doing close to what he did today, not as good, but close, and stays healthy, maybe a Finney Smith type player the Nets are apparently still selling. We need to add tall depth and a small forward position. If we're moving Mitch, McBride and Cram are great together, but it's a bit small. And so I was like, what would it look like to have Dorian Finney-Smith play the 3 with Precious at the 4 and Sims at the 5. So me and you are on the same page with that, Eru. And Lee's response, which was great. Lee said, all for it, but before that happens, OG and Finney Smith need to fight, and then we could make it official. And I was like, all right, bet. You know, I would like that. Sell some tickets at the Garden, watch them box a little. It would definitely be better than the Jake Paul Tyson fight. But let's hear your thoughts, Billy.
All right. With Mitch, before we got Cat, I always wanted a center that would put Mitch on the bench if we weren't going to trade him, to come off the bench and preserve his health. You know, another thing I always wanted was two different people at the 5. You're going to give me a defensive guy at the 5, and make sure I got another guy at the 5 that can score, do something on the offensive end. We got both of those right now, even though Mitch isn't on the team. Now, with that being said, if we're looking for another wing to add points to the bench, cool with it. I don't know how the money will work, but one thing about the Knicks, when they always miss out on somebody that they wanted to get, they end up getting them that following year or something like that, you know? I'm looking at guys like Bruce Brown, buyout market or something like that. I'm looking at guys like Marcus Smart. It just seemed like every time the Knicks like mention like they have an eye on somebody, like it always comes full circle and ends up coming back and he's playing for the Knicks. But as far as Mitch, man, like look, we don't have a timetable when he's coming back. We never know when Mitch is coming back until he comes back. So if these guys can keep gelling, but I also said if Mitch leaves, it all depends on what Cat is doing while he's gone at that 5. But I don't know, man. That's tricky because if you'd asked me this at the beginning of the year, I'm like, hell yeah, get rid of Mitch. We don't need him.
Yeah.
But everything we're missing on the defensive end, Mitch does. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be our saving grace and nothing like that because shit, Mitch can come in the very first game and be on the IR at halftime. You know what I'm saying? That's what pisses me off about Mitch is his health, and his unavailability. That's what pisses me off more than anything is the unavailability. But nah, man, I don't know yet. I really don't know yet because I'm still not satisfied with our defense. I'm still not satisfied with our D. So I don't know if I have a point for you yet.
So to your point, to the chat, I don't dislike Mitch. I like Mitch. It's just how many seasons do we have to go through where he's not playing at least part of the season, you know? So for me, I'm thinking not this year. I'm thinking this year, next year, the year after, like building something that continues to compete. And so if it's always a question mark with him, and I'm like, okay, but if Sims is getting there, you know, that would change things. And especially because if we're adding, it has to be a defensive minded person that we're adding to that bench, you know, if Mitch was to go. But if you think about it, where Sims falls short, you would then have Dorian Finney-Smith and Precious both to be a little bit of muscle and a little bit of defense, you know, to be able to assist where Sims may fall short, you know. So you're adding Precious, you're adding a player like Finney-Smith. Like I wouldn't be looking at, you know, a player that just scores buckets but can't defend. Like, don't come at me with a Kyle Kuzma, you know, at small forward, you know, because it's like, all right, buckets and what? Like our defense still sucks, you know, so it would have to be a small forward type player that can defend and help with some of those shortcomings that Sims has.
You know, a guy that oh, are you still talking? Is he still talking?
No.
Phil, you there?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. One guy I've been yelling his name all summer. I like Isaiah Stewart in Detroit.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I'm a huge Isaiah Stewart guy. Eru, I think he's one of them guys that you described earlier about just not giving a damn at sometimes, man. You know what I'm saying? We need a goon. Like the Knicks need a goon. Like
he's
Josh
scary.
Hart. Huh?
He's a scary dude, though. That guy.
Yeah, and he's from the crib. He's a Bronx guy, I think. Man,
He's from, I think he's Jamaican descent too. I think so. He's a crazy Jamaican from the Bronx. So I mean, that's like a bad mix right there.
Hey man,
that's a great mix.
we need some scary hours on that bench, man. Like,
yeah,
we need some oxtail gravy on that rice.
Little curry, little rice. Hey man, we smile. Too many teeth on the team. Too much teeth on the team. We smile too much. I need a goon. I need somebody to wake up that don't care about brushing his hair. I need somebody who just wake up and just slap people for no reason.
Yo, that's hilarious. That's funny. No, I like him too. And honestly, like, that's the kind of player that you go, nah, man, that's scary. Well, that's scary if it's against you, but if it's on your team, it's the most beautiful thing to know that you have that there. You know, like that's the kind of Anthony Mason type, you know, player that you want. You know, that there is no, you know, bullying your, you know, second unit. You know, because that dude's got some loose screws, but it can also play basketball. So that's a great take. Apollo, I'll throw it to you. We got a few more minutes before Dexter's in the building. Shout out to everyone in the chat. There's 330 of you in the that I can notice. Some of y'all still rocking with us on Twitter. So thank you. Hit that retweet. Get the likes up, get the subscriptions up. If this is your first time watching the show, thank you so much. Please follow, turn on notifications so that continue to do this. We accept super chats. We accept buy me a coffee, which is a better version of it because YouTube doesn't steal our money. All you got to do is scan that little thing in the top right corner there, and you're able to donate anything that you would like to the show. That keeps us being able to have, which what we're trying to do more is get more premier accounts on Twitter, continue with the graphics, the videos, get some clearances and stuff like that. So if you guys could continue to support and subscribe, that would be amazing. Apollo, let's hear your thoughts.
I mean, I guess just to make it fun, I can't sit here and just say the same thing everybody else has said. So here I go. A couple things that I wrote down in the past 15 minutes, right? So we talked a lot about us playing not so great teams, right? So Sims has looked great in these games. Do we see in a year's time us being able to trust Sims as the backup center in the playoffs? I can't say that we can. I'm also not the hugest Mitch fan. But I'm kind of on, like, you know, the shore of his island. I can't say I'm on the island by myself. There's a lot of people there. I'm on the shore. I'm in my boat. Getting ready to start the boat to leave the island, but I'm still on the island. So, you know, I think there's things that Mitch does do for us that we are severely lacking right now. Paint protection, offensive rebounding are two of the very things. Now, outside of that, I don't think there's much else Mitch can really give us, if we're really being honest. But if we can limit his minutes and not have to, because if you see, the only time he really gets hurt is when he's playing very high usage minutes. And you don't necessarily want a guy like Mitch playing those kind of minutes. You know what I mean? Those big heavy minutes against guys like Joel Embiid in the playoffs, and then you see how you can get hurt that easily in one game, right? So I don't want to depend on Mitch. As much as I have wanted Mitch to be traded in the past, which is why I'm in my boat right now, I do give him the credit he deserves with what he does bring. Now, his contract is also really, really great, especially in today's NBA. So I'll give him that. And, you know, I just don't know how much I can rely on Sims. I think that's the real reason why I'm not sure if we should just trade Mitch away, is because we don't have that guy here who can protect the paint. There's going to be a game where Cat has 4 fouls in 2-3 quarters. And can you trust Jericho to finish that game out or play a lot of those minutes and make sure that we don't get down in those minutes? And I can't, you know, it's in just defensively. And that's kind of where I have trouble leaving the Mitch Island. That's all.
Yeah, no, that all makes sense. and you know, I don't want to leave the island just to leave the island. But sometimes I feel like we never leave the island and we don't realize that there's life outside the island either.
I'm in my boat. I'm in the boat.
You're in the boat.
Be lost. That's how I'm thinking about Gilligan's Island in my head. That's why I'm laughing in the background.
You know, like being in a boat on an island that's broken is like hanging out in a prison cell with the door open. Like, that's great that the door's open, but if you're still going to live in the prison cell, what the hell does it matter? So without further ado, I'm going to bring up a sensible man. I love this channel, a friend and someone who great work for,
Matrix.
You know,
you got auto tunes going on, man.
Hey, Neo.
Am I good? Am I
No.
good?
You got auto tunes.
You're back, Neo. You're back, Neo.
Dang. All right. My bad. So, you know, this is
Anderson.
I tell you all, this is what happens when you travel full time. You get what you get when it comes to internet. You know, we've gone this far without me being Neo, but I am the one. You know, I run this. You know, so anyway, without further ado, our guy Dexter Henry. What up, Dex?
What's good, guys? Phil, they put a little T-Pain on your voice there, man. Yeah, that's what I heard. They put a little T-Pain on the voice. But listen, when you travel and you deal with that hotel Wi-Fi, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, you know. But so it's all good. What's up, fellas? How's everybody doing? Eru, good to see you, man. Apollo, good to see you. Billy, good to see you too.
What's good, brother?
Peace, man. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Dex. It's been a while. You've been busy, bro. Like crazy busy.
I've been busy, man, but you know, never too busy. Busy a lot around these Knicks. The Knicks stuff is getting busy for all of us, right? Like all the content creators, the journalists out there, the Knicks have been keeping us real busy. It's an exciting time in New York, especially with the way the football teams are, because they're not bringing anybody any joy. So
Boy.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been busy times, man. But good to see you. It's been a while. Good to see you.
You too. All right, so Dex, we just finished breaking down these last few games, and you know, obviously, you got the fan base that's like, well, what do you expect? You know, we're playing nobodies. You know, we could be playing, you know, anybody in a pickup game. You know, compared to what we're doing here. But we were talking about this is a great time, you know, for us to play these teams to kind of figure out how this whole thing works. It's still very new. It's still coming together, but it shows promise. You know, seeing Jalen Brunson and Cat play at all-star levels already gives us promise. So what are your thoughts so far on the season?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's 15 games, right? And I think it hasn't been the way some Knicks fans wanted. You know, I'm sure if Knicks fans would have been happy if they were 13-2 or 15-0. I thought this team was going to take some time to gel. You know, listen, I'll try to be glass half full guy. If you're looking at this team and you have to be excited about the offense. I just said this on my live show I was on. I'm not sure in my lifetime if I've seen a better Knicks offense. And look, I know there's some Knicks fans and people out there that love the 90s Knicks, but come on, that was not great offensive basketball, right? And I get it's different era, all that stuff. I get all that. But this offense is really good, man. They're second in the NBA right now. And I still don't even think Mikal Bridges we've seen the best of what he could do, right? You know, he's not shooting well on above the break threes. He's been killing the mid-range. He's been, you know, pretty good very good actually on the corner three. So I still think there's room for this team to get better. The key, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this, being the smart basketball fans that you are, the defense is what you want to see improve, and where you want to see this team get better. And I do think there's a level they can get better. I actually do really believe that. Like, look, we get it. You lost something when you put Cat in here and iHeart's not here and Mitchell Robinson's hurt. And Apollo, I heard you just talking about Mitchell Robinson and your feelings to him. But I think another thing is the defense, I think, will take an uptick when you see Precious come back. When you see, I don't even want to get to the Mitchell Robinson stuff because who knows where he's back. Like, he hasn't even been cleared to start running yet, right? So I don't know what that means in terms of a timetable for him. But I think when you get him back, and then, you know, the guy I think we started to forget about a little bit is Landry Shamet. When that guy gets back into rotation, makes it a little deeper, you're taking some of those heavy stress minutes off of guys like like Brunson, like OG, like Mikal, like Josh Hart. I think that'll help them a lot. I think they'll be better defensively. I don't think this Knicks team is going to be, they were 9th in defense last year. I don't think they'll ever be as good as that, but can they get somewhere between 10 and 15, middle of the pack? Yeah, I think that's possible. I think it's possible. And I think you started to see that. The starters, they had a defensive rating, I think it was 102.8 last night against the Suns. You're starting to see them get a little better. They did give up too many points against the Suns. I just think, can they get a little bit more defense out of the center spot? And this is where Apollo, I hear you talking about Mitchell Robinson and him coming back and the impact that he could have. But through 15 games, guys, I'm looking at this team, watching this team as closely as I do, I think they're fine. And Phil, you're right. Some of the teams that they're playing right now, it helps. Listen, you want to build confidence. You want to build good habits. Okay, I get it. 2 wins over the Nets, the Wizards, and the Suns team without Kevin Durant and without Bradley Beal. I get all that. But you got to beat what's in front of you. And the Knicks may get some more breaks on this trip. Looks like they're not going to have to face Luka. It's possible they could miss Jokic if he's still dealing out with his personal issues. So we'll see. And then they close out the trip in Charlotte, right? These are winnable games. And look, the injury bug has not hit the Knicks in a crazy way yet. I know they're missing some rotation pieces, but the starters have been relatively healthy. You just got to take care of business. 9 and 15 with a team with 3 new people in the starting lineup, I think you got to take that.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say about what you pointed out is you were talking about, once these guys come, they won't have to play so many crazy minutes. But one thing I do want to say is, like, sometimes I can be the minute police based off what I see. But besides Josh Hart, pretty much, and sometimes Mikal Bridges, Tibbs is doing a decent job letting some of these young guys get a little bit of run in some of these games, which is also a reason I'm thankful for these teams that we're playing, because we're not having to wait until crunch time in the season where an injury might happen to see if the Dadiers or the Koleks or the Huck Porties can actually help us, when we need it. So being able to see them get some run now, I appreciate. But regardless of what you think of minutes, I saw this tweet today and I wanted to get your thoughts and then we can hop around with it. But this is something that I said last year on our show, and I think you were there. But it's continuing to show its face again now. This right here says, this is from my guy, Knicks Beast. He said, say what you want about Tibbs, but players come to New York and constantly play the best basketball of their careers in his system. That's my coach. So regardless of what you think of Tibbs, if you go down the list of players from Jalen Brunson to Isaiah Hartenstein to Dante DiVincenzo, look at the contrast from Dante last year to this year already. Precious Achiuwa, all these guys that have come to play for us in these last 2 or 3 years, including now Cat, are all playing some of their best basketball. And not better than last year, but no, some of their best basketball. Like Cat's numbers offensively right now are kind of like NBA 2K-ish, where his rating has already skyrocketed within 15 games on the game. So what are your thoughts on that? And the fact that regardless of what fans may think, players are thriving in a Tibbs system.
Yeah, that was Nick's Beast with that take, right?
Yeah.
I think that there's truth to it, right? Like the proof is in the pudding there, and a lot of that, to take it a step further, Phil, a lot of that is skewed towards big men, right? A lot of big men have had career years with Tom Thibodeau as head coach. You look at Isaiah Hartenstein. Think about what Isaiah Hartenstein was before he left in the 2 years he was with the Knicks and how his game evolved into the player he is now. Nerlens Noel had a career year with the Knicks 4 years ago. You're seeing it with Cat. And this is why, to that point, if you believe in Tibbs getting the most out of these players and all the guards you mentioned too, and Brunson and DiVincenzo, if you believe in that, then you have to believe also he's going to be able to get the most out of Cat on the other end. And I think that's the bet the Knicks made when they made that trade. It was 2 things. One, it was Jalen Brunson's leadership and the culture that was within the team. And then can you get the most out of Cat if you even get him 10% better defensively, right? I'm just throwing that out there as a number.
Yeah.
If that happens, I think that's a good thing. I think that, like, listen, Tibbs and the culture of this Knicks team and what we've seen in the last 4 years is, guys, if you come here, you're going to play hard. Jalen Brunson's a winner. I think all of us here would agree he's a winner. He's a captain. He's a leader. You believe in him. You believe in the culture. And everybody else falls in line. So I think that Tibbs has gotten the most out of his starters. And to the other point you made, Phil, about the young guys playing. I know there's Knicks fans out there clamoring to see more Hukporti, more Kolek, and things like that. Listen, I get it. Stephen Bondi just made this point with me, and he makes a good one. He's like, look, I get it with the minutes these guys have to play. He's not trusting all these young guys, but we are seeing him give minutes. He has given minutes to Dottie in spots. We saw Hukporti in the Nets game last Friday. We saw Hukporti against the Cavs get major minutes. So he's been giving these guys opportunities to learn in spots, which, barring injuries and things down the road, that could bode really well, which is your point. But I think that Tibbs gets the most out of these guys. I think that's definitely true. I think we've seen it across different players across the years. I think he sometimes doesn't get enough credit for that. I also think sometimes he doesn't get enough credit for the young dudes he's played and helped their careers, like an Emmanuel Quickly, like Quentin Grimes. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. You know, I always felt that's tired. A lot of the young guys he's played on this team, Miles McBride, when they trust him giving a shot. The thing with Tibbs is, and I think people who cover the team and players will tell you, is you have to prove it. You have to prove it to him. You have to show him, especially on the defensive end. And we've seen that with some of the young guys this year, whether it's Hukporti, whether it's Dottie. You know, some of those guys have made mistakes on rotations on defense, and then he's pulled them. And, you know, they got to go back to the lab and then learn. But I think if you're a Knicks fan, you have to trust. I don't want to bring the Sixers in. You got to trust the process, right? And the system of what's been going on the last 4 years, and thinking that, look, I've seen our coach get the most out of this team, unify them together. What you want is this team to be playing their best basketball in March, heading into April. It is not, don't worry about the Cavs, right? Because listen, Knicks fans who are mad at 9-6, you could be the Sixers right now, okay? And the Sixers don't want to be the Sixers, all right? Like, things aren't good. Milwaukee's off to a disappointing start. The Knicks are off to a fine start. And, you know, Knicks Beast is right in terms of this coach getting the most out of his players, and look at what he's doing with Cat right now. And so if you think he's doing that and has an impact on the offensive end, we know Tibbs is a defensive coach. What do you think he can get from him when, not just him, when this team buys in collectively and they're all in sync and the communication's better on the defensive end? I do think there's another level for this Knicks team. And I think it's not shocking the offense is ahead of the defense, but I think there's another level for the defense to go to. And if they can get up, I think they're 21st right now in the league. Like I said, if they can get somewhere between 10 and 15, I think they're cooking. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. Any of you guys have any thoughts on Knicks Beast's, you know, post and what Dexter was just saying? Because, you know, like we said earlier, offensively we're clicking, you know, which is crazy. For Tibbs team to ball is moving. I feel
fight through it, brother. Fight through it.
You're almost there. You're almost there.
I'm coming back.
You can do it.
Put the T-Pain on your voice again, Phil.
You can do it. Come on, fight through it.
You know, here's my thing. You know, there's enough bad music out there. I just want to bring the T-Pain back. You know, you know.
Like John Hart yelling at Jericho Sims fighting through his screen. Come on, fight
I'm
through
here.
it. You can do it.
I'm here. All right. So what I was saying, now without the T-Pain reverb, all right, is that the fact that we are saying, which is weird to say these words, that a Tibbs coached team is thriving and killing it offensively, is words that I never thought would come out of my mouth. Like, to say that our problem is not the offense, and to see how we're actually moving the ball and how everyone is touching the ball and we're getting 30 plus assists. Like, that was a miracle last year to be like, we got 30 plus assists. Holy cow. Now it's starting to become more of the norm. So for me, yes, it's frustrating that our defense isn't doing great, but to know that we have a guy who is known for defense, who can fix those things because he knows how to fix those things, is more of a promise to me than us having a good defense, but not being able to score and having a guy who isn't really great as an offensive coach, then having to teach these guys how to score. So these are the things that, like are good to see, that we can score, because I feel like Tibbs can wheel them in all defensively as the season goes and they start playing with, with the defense better. I think that's something that we're going to be able to celebrate because he's good at that. So what are your guys' thoughts on that quote and what Dex was talking about?
See, that's when you got to trust your personnel. You know what I'm saying? When you have right now, the Knicks have built a team that can minimize Tibbs' responsibilities as a coach right now. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know he's a defensive coach, and I kind of agree with Nick's Beast, that tweet. I didn't really think about it until I just read it. Guys do tend to have career years under Tibbs, but it's not guys who are just coming in the league. It's like veteran guys like Josh Hart, for example. He was a journeyman until he got to New York. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was always in the middle of some kind of big trade being moved until he came to New York. One thing about Tibbs, you got to buy into his system, because we've seen this the last couple of years. If you don't buy into his system and if you run your mouth, two things are going to happen. You're not going to play, and you're going to get moved. Evan Fournier didn't like his role, sat down, waited until the proper move came. He's out of here. Quentin Grimes, the beginning of the year last year, like first 20-something games, he had some words, sat down. Okay, Dante, no problem. That's why I brought you here anyway. Hey, get in the starting lineup. Quentin Grimes ended up getting moved. Cam Reddish, same thing. That's how we got Josh Hart. We've seen this time and time again. Tibbs is a very old school guy. As a military guy, I know Tibbs' personality. You know what I'm saying? Right now, he's 66 years old. He ain't going home to nobody. You know what I'm saying? This is what he does. This is his life right here. He is married to this right here. But he only knows one way. It kind of reminds me of the Giants and Tom Coughlin back in 2007, when a lot of guys had to tell Tom, hey, Tom, you got a lot of young guys here, man. They're going to play for you. You got to tweak your personality a little bit, man. Let these guys see you smile and this, that, and the other. You're seeing that with Tibbs a little bit, so to speak. Thank God we got Rick Brunson here, because I think Rick he's doing that with Tibbs right now. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, these guys don't mind getting coached hard. This is the hand-picked team Tibbs has. And like Dexter said, and we all know this as Knicks fans, man, you want to play for Tibbs as a young kid, two things you better do. You better play hard, you better play D. Either way, you don't do them two things, guess what? You're not going to see the floor. So Tibbs is a very, he's got tunnel vision. But at the same time, he knows one way, and that's his way. Damn, I had something else in my head, so I need to start writing stuff down. I'm getting too old for this.
Look at me, I got a notebook. They see me.
Yeah, man. Forget y'all. Y'all trying to show y'all prepared. That's crazy. Y'all taking notes and you're drinking. I got water and I got no notes. And I can't remember nothing.
Gotta be prepared, man.
I know. I suck. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I blame Bully. But no, man. It's like again, I've been a Knicks fan for a long time, but we've never seen an offense like this. You know what I'm saying? So we're in a different time. Like Dexter was saying earlier about the 90s Knicks, we were lucky to hit 95 points back then. You know what I'm saying? It was real ugly. The game could have been 95, 92. Back then, we was like, man, that was a perfect game. You know what I'm saying? Not right now. Right now, we scored 136 points last night. I'm upset because I gave up 122. Like, I know the defense is an issue with this team, but I also know we don't have our defensive. Gosh, I don't want to say we need Mitch, man.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I
don't want to say that, but yeah, we do. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm reluctant to trade in him, because he gives me the total opposite of what I have in Cat. But like I said, I always wanted to have a 5 in here to preserve Mitch's health, to bring him off the bench, and we have that now. Mitch can come in the game and give me 15 minutes of straight defense and shutting stuff down so we can go on a nice run, and then putting him back on the bench and putting Cat back in the game. I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But we got to be consistent with that. So I agree with Nick's Beast and where the team is going. And I put a video out. I put 2 videos out today on Twitter, man. And one of them I did say that, why are we complaining as Knicks fans on the timeline? We're not Philly. You know what I'm saying? Philly has major issues. We're not Milwaukee. We're not Indiana, where Halliburton, their all-star, only shooting 7 times in the game and missing all of them but 1. We have rich people problems. That's what I'm saying. That's what the Knicks have.
Right.
We really legit have rich people problems.
All right. Well, we still have Dex. I want to throw another question, and then I'll throw it to one of you guys. Dex, with the season ahead of us, what if Mitch doesn't come back anytime soon? Like, what do you think that we have to do? Like, obviously, defense is an issue, especially when that second unit comes in. There needs to be a stronger, defensive presence to make sure we don't lose leads. It's not good to be up 30, and then by the time our starters come back, we're only up 14. That's an issue. If Mitch doesn't come back anytime soon, everyone's getting super hype that he traveled with the team. It's like, that's great. So does a lot of friends and family. That's great. What are they doing for us? That's
right.
Awesome. What do you think needs to happen to make sure that we stay on the right path of progression?
That's a great question. And you're right. Nobody should be overly excited because he just traveled with the team, right? Like I said, he's not even been cleared for running, right? That's generally the first step. Like, can we get you into conditioning exercise? He's not cleared for that yet. I think what you got to hope for, if that happens, Phil, you got to hope that Precious Achiuwa shows you some stuff, even as a small ball five defensively, that you can get excited about. And you have to pray. And I understand Knicks fans listening to this are probably going to be like, come on, Dex. You got to pray that Jericho Sims has somewhat of a leap. Or actually, you know what? Hold up. I'm going to just not saying Sims can't take a leap. Either he takes a leap or somehow how Purdy supplants him in the rotation. You need some sort of clear cut, somebody who can play the backup five. The third option, and I'm trying to avoid this, but the third option you have to say then is, all right, you have to make a trade. Now, that would probably involve trading Mitchell Robinson with the combination of someone like a Landry Shamet or Precious Achiuwa. Could you combine that, get another center that's a backup five that you could trust? But then what does that do to your depth? There's some things to think about. I think, I don't have any information inside on this, but I think the Knicks are going to take a good look at this after, see where they are. I would say about Christmas, early part of New Year's, January. Where are we after 25, 30 games? Let's see what the vibe is. And more importantly, to the point you're making, Phil, where's Mitchell Robinson then? Now, if we get to December, okay, and guys, remember right before the season when the Mitchell Robinson news came down and before the Cat news came down, and people were saying, oh, it could be back December, January. I heard some people say late January, maybe February. If Mitch isn't running by early January, I would be concerned.
Yeah.
I would be concerned then, right? If I'm saying he's not doing running drills, light running drills, or can't even start, that's actually before you even get to like 3-on-3 and 5-on-5 and start some contact drills. If he's not running, then I'd be concerned. And I think the Knicks will then look at the team and say, where are they then? How does the defense look, particularly the interior defense? And I think they'll make moves. One thing I think we all have to realize is that the last couple of years, if the Knicks have needed to go out and tweak something, they will. I think they'll tweak this roster. I think this front office will do that. I don't think it'll be a major tweak. I don't think they're going for any major names. I think in an ideal world, they would love Mitch to come back. And if they needed to add another guard or another wing to add some scoring off the bench, I think that's what they'd like to do. But if Mitch doesn't come back, that does throw a little bit of a monkey wrench, Phil. I'm with you. And the key is if you don't see enough from Sims or Hawk Purdy, then that's when you're really in trouble. What I think you would like from Sims, who I will say has not looked terrible the last 4 games, okay? Granted, I understand the competition. We'll see what he does when he goes up against a Jokic if he plays him next week. Or the next time the Knicks see the Cavs or something like that. Sims just needs to be competent, right? You just need to see Sims competent, not looking lost on defense like he has sometimes, and you just need him to be competent. If he plays the way he did last night, I understand that was against Yusuf Nurkic. That's not necessarily the biggest test for him. That's what you need to see. I think if the Knicks see in the next 15 to 20 games, Sims looking like a competent backup center that can help with some rim protection and not look lost, they might not feel as rushed to make a trade. If they don't, and Mitch isn't healthy, wouldn't shock me if you saw a January trade. Now, I don't know who that could be. Nick Richards from Charlotte could be a good possibility in terms of backup. I know you're going to hear some Knicks fans talk about Walker Kessler and trying to get him out of Utah. I don't know what the price would be on that. I would think Danny Ainge would want a high price and want to hold the Knicks' feet to the fire. Doing business with that man is dangerous. Yeah. That's what I will say to that, right? So can you get yourself a low-cost center that fills the need what you want? Nick Richards is that guy that seems to work for me on that can fill that. And Mitchell Robinson's attractive to other teams because he's an expiring. Yeah. Now, it depends on the whole thing. With the salary, you want to stay on the second apron, all that other stuff that comes into that. But yeah, I think they'll really identify the team. That's why I'm really intrigued to talk about this team when we get to early January, because that's when you'll really know. You really should take a look at it. How did the Knicks look defensively? Now, if they get up to 15th in defense, like I'm talking about, and Sims is looking all right, even if Mitch is not ready to February, you like, oh, we could chill. Yeah. We could rock with this for another 6 weeks.
So before you got here, we were kind of talking about this whole scenario. So I want your thoughts real quick. I actually just asked the guys in the private chat. Guys, if you guys have a certain question you want to ask Dex, do me a favor, drop it in there, and we're going to roundtable it. But we were talking about where we're at with Sims, because I was a guy that was like, come on, give the guy the benefit of a doubt. He hasn't played a lot. Then I got to a point where I was like, what the frick? You know, like, you look so confused. These minutes are so hard to watch. What are we doing? And then these last few games, it's like you're starting to see a crazy like progression. Whereas like, why in 4 games are we starting to see what I've asked to see for 4 years? This is crazy, you know? But the way that I look at it, like, okay, maybe it's not just me, is like, Tibbs is not the guy to kind of come out and talk about a certain player, you know, if he's not really seeing something that he likes. You know, like with Hook Porty, he's very short. You know, he'll give him a praise, but then he's like, but there's these things that still need work. There's work that needs to be done. He made that very clear, that Hook Porty still had work that needed to get done. But for Sims, he's like, what you guys don't realize is how he's affecting this. Like, he's going to bat for Sims, talking about how Sims is making a really big contribution that we may not be seeing, you know? So when Tibbs starts to do that, I start to go, okay, he's gaining Tibbs's respect. Like, he's gaining Tibbs's affinity, and that's not easy to do. So when I look at it, I'm like, yes, he's not playing the greatest centers right now, but still in how you play them is what matters. So he's not doing this OPP, hip hop hooray, arms down on a guy every time they go to, like, you know, score like he used to do. Those were the frustrating things that you would see, is that his hands would always come down. Now he's going straight up and he's altering shots. He's moving his body mid-air to alter but avoid the foul. Like, he's doing things that he didn't normally do. And we're starting to see that. So I had thrown it to the guys, because me and the Nick of Time crew, we were talking about this. Like, if it looks like Mitch is not going to come, you know, anytime soon, and the Knicks really want to compete this season and fix the things that are broken, you make a very good point. He's an expiring contract. So who would want an expiring contract? A team that is fire sailing and wanting to get out of contracts that are longer than just this year. So I was thinking about things that could fit if Sims was to continue to grow in those next 15 games. If we were to add a strong defensive-minded small forward alongside Precious Achua and Sims, because now Precious and that small forward can help with any of the insufficiencies that Sims is still trying to grow out of. So I was thinking, and Lee had agreed completely, and then when I threw it to Eru before even saying it, it's who he said, I was thinking a Dorian Finney-Smith type player, someone that is playing great defense. His contract matches Mitch's. He can score when he needs to. Him and Brunson have played together before, and he would be able to help the defensive second unit, and him paired with Precious would definitely help Sims under the basket. So what are your thoughts on something like that?
I actually like that. But the thing that has to happen for that to go down, right, is you would have to feel really good about how Sims is playing, right? In order for that. But so if a trade like that went down, it would tell you a lot. It makes sense. The Nets are going to want a first. Dorian Finney-Smith, is not staying on the Nets. We know this. They're going to try to move him. They're going to want a first. I know last year they were trying to get 2 firsts around the deadline, and people were like, nah, you're not getting that.
Well,
I think
they got 5. They got 5 from us already.
That's true. Now, Billy, you make a good point there, and I think I know where you might be going. Are the Nets going to try to fleece the Knicks again? Right? Like I see you, bro. I knew you was going there.
Got you.
Are they going to try to get more out the Knicks if they know they're desperate? And that's the thing about trades, right? It's like, are you trading from a point of strength or a point of weakness? And that's interesting. I like what you guys are thinking about in terms of that, right? If you have a good backup center, Dorian Finney-Smith is a guy because the defensive first, he could knock down a shot if need be. He would fit in the offense, doesn't need to do too much. I like that kind of player. I see exactly what you're looking for, and I think it would help solidify the Knicks bench. And you could play him in some small ball lineups, so you could throw him at the 4, which is kind of nice too. So I like that thought process there. I think when you're thinking about that thought process, if the Knicks get to that point, that tells you that they feel good about Sims or Hawk Purdy by that time. If those guys listen, I think that's key. If Sims shows you could be a capable backup center, give you 15 minutes a night, play good defense, not look lost out of there, and if Cat makes some fouls that are silly, which you've seen him do in the playoffs before, or in a tough situation, he can hold it down. And your offense is not bad. I don't mind that trade. I see what you guys are doing there. My concern would just be what Billy mentioned. What do the Nets want, and are they going to try to push the Knicks for more? Especially they've got 5 first-round picks out of them. Are they going to try to get 2? You can't give up 2 for Dorian Finney-Smith. I like the fit, but would I be willing to do Mitch in a first? Yes. 2, that might be a little bit too rich for me.
Yeah. That's what's up. All right. Apollo had a question for you. Dex, in the chat, let me know, when your cutoff time is. We want to make sure we respect you. We know you had a show before this. You've been going. So we want to make sure we honor that.
Yeah, no problem. Apollo, go ahead.
All right.
So, creative kind of question. Not 100% to do with the Knicks, but kind of. I know you're a big Pitt fan. So,
yes.
Question. If you had to compare Pitt right now to what Knicks team in recent, doesn't even have.
You talking about, just so I'm clear, you're talking about University of Pittsburgh, Pitt Panthers, like basketball, or you talking about Steelers?
No, the Steelers.
Steelers. Okay, yeah. They're losing last time I checked. I'm not happy about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, what version of this Knicks? Not this Knicks team, of course, because they're not bad. They're not doing that bad right now. But as a Knicks fan throughout the years, what Knicks team could you compare, or what stage of Knicks team could you compare Pitt to right now?
The Steelers right now feel to me like that's a good question. I was gonna say that 2020 We're Here team, just because the defensive identity is there, but they're trying to build like with the offense and with Russ being there and starting to show that it's cooking a little bit. But part of me makes me wonder, because I don't think I think the comparison now is good offensively. I was going to say the 2012-2013 team, right? Just because they got a veteran piece in there, but I don't think it's quite the same. I think maybe the better comp, now I think more about it because you have to have a strong defense, might be, in the way they're playing right now towards the end of the season, might be closer to like that 99 team. And the reason I say it's a good defensive team. They found their stride late. People underestimated that team. I think the Steelers could be dangerous in the playoffs. Wouldn't shock me if they got to the AFC Championship game. I don't think their offense is good enough to beat a Kansas City or Buffalo, but I think they could win a round or 2 for sure. Yeah, I like the way the team is playing. Obviously, a team had a good coach. Jeff Van Gundy, Mike Tomlin, great coach. So yeah, I might go with that 99 team. I'm gonna go with that. Except that team went to the finals, so maybe I'm hoping for a good run to the Super
Bowl. The silver lining right there. Okay, cool. Dope.
Yeah, man.
All right. I understand that the friggin' New York football teams suck. All right, this is the Knicks channels. All right, this is not a Pittsburgh Steelers channel. Hate the Steelers. All right.
Why do you hate the Steelers?
I don't know, bro.
You were just hating the hate.
There's certain people where it's like you see them and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to rip their head off. And that was Roethlisberger for like so much of my life that it totally tainted like anything that the Steelers could have done well. I was just like, this person. And
I understand.
So anytime I think of the Steelers, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, and it just gets me upset. So it's nothing to do with any of the guys on the team at all now, but it's like kind of like, you know, if you believe in original sin and you're like, Adam's the reason Roethlisberger is Adam for all Steelers, you know, like he is the original sin of the Pittsburgh Steelers for me. And it trickles down.
Shout out to Knicks Live. You said you're wearing Pittsburgh colors. You're wearing black and yellow right now.
About to say that.
Whoa.
Good luck.
Black and yellow.
Whoa. Hey, yo, slow down with that.
You didn't even see it happen to you, man. Damn.
Nah, it's bumblebee colors. All right.
I got a quick question real quick. Dex, you know, okay, like to this point, and it's like been one of my main arguments on Twitter the last couple of years with Tibbs. I'm not too high, I'm not too low on Tibbs. You know what I'm saying? He's just he's Tibbs to me. So I have no fandom when it comes to Tibbs, but I'm very objective. Like Tibbs he does not have the resume to this point to be let go by the Knicks. Everything he's done with the Knicks has been, you know, heaven sent that we haven't had at a consistent basis since the late 90s, right? Now, with that being said, we had 2 straight second round exits in the playoffs. Last year we was hurt. The year before that against Miami, you know, we just couldn't find the basket for some reason that second round. Underachieving this year and to me is not making it to the ECF.
I think that's fair.
That's underachieving to me. If that happens with this group, is there a world where we can be one of those teams that Tibbs is the coach that got us there but can't quite get us over the hump? Do you think I don't want people to start going off in the chat. I'm not saying there needs to be a coaching change. Again, you know, because you don't on here, Twitter or YouTube, whatever, you gotta choose your words carefully.
Right.
He does not have the resume to be fired. I've bet people money that. I knew he was going to get an extension in the offseason, which he should have. Well deserved. He should have. He won 50 games with a bunch of role players who became starters last year. Because this team is going to be defined on what they do in the playoffs. Anyway, I think we all know that. If they do not at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals, is there a world where there could be a coaching change in New York?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's not likely, right? I also think like when we talk about those things, it matters. Like, how do they lose, right? And like how I will agree with you. I think the way this team has been set up, I think internally they would say it's ECF or bust. I think they would agree with that. I do think that the goal obviously is to win an NBA championship, but I think if they don't get to the conference finals the way they've been trending, it would be a disappointment. I completely agree with that. When you look at the talent on this roster, they should be able to get to an Eastern Conference Finals. I think the only way Tibbs gets fired, though, is if they look bad in the semis.
How we lose, yeah.
Yeah, like let's say they got swept. If they got beat on like a buzzer beater, disappointing, but there's context to it. I don't think he gets fired for that, right? They get swept or something. They don't look competitive.
Right.
Against, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Let's say it's Orlando.
Right.
I'm just throwing a team out there. Yeah, that's now you starting to look at things a little differently. And then, you know, things like this stuff always comes out. Like, how's the team responding to him? People start thinking, has his voice worn out? It's welcome.
Right.
You start hearing all those kinds of things. I think it would really matter how it looked. I think the organization's invested in Tibbs. I would think he at least gets another year. Is there a world? Yeah, of course there is a world. But I think it would be like they have to look bad in the semis or God forbid they get bounced in the first round. That would be, I mean, that's a disaster. Let's just,
the
expectations are high. They're high.
I asked that because you see so many coaching changes. Like, look what happened a couple of years ago. Nick Nurse won the championship in Toronto. A couple of years later, he was gonna let go. Monty Williams, 2 years later, removed from the NBA Finals appearance, he was let go. Budenholzer, same thing in Milwaukee. He was let go the same year him and Monty met up in the finals. 2 years later, he was let go. And right now, Tibbs is the second longest tenured coach in the Eastern Conference behind Spo. So, I mean, I'm not advocating it, but I'm just like it could cause a discussion if it does happen.
I'm a big believer in continuity. I think that matters a ton in sports, and I think that if you just changed a lot of starters on this team, this is a new Knicks team,
right.
And this is why I'm intrigued to see how he progresses with this team through the year. So I feel like you got to give him a chance with this group. He's been part of the building to this process, and either you believe in him as a coach or you don't. I know some people still aren't a fan of him. I think Tibbs is a good coach. I think he's fine. I think he at least gets 2 years with this iteration of this team, right? Like, I think you at least got to give him that and see what he does. This is barring like a late season collapse, like I said, or a first round exit. Then I can see where you might want to make the changes. But if let's look at it this way, Billy, because I think it's a great question. The Knicks management has not shown you, which is rare for Knicks fans to understand this, right? Or is New Yorkers just watching this? They haven't shown you like the being rash with their decision making. They haven't shown you that. They've shown patience. They've shown competence. Things that Knicks fans haven't seen pretty much for the last 2 decades prior to this 4-year run, right? So I don't think they're going to make a rash decision with Tibbs unless they feel there's a shift in the culture. I hope that answers the question. I think that's the only way they do that.
Even when you said, has his voice going to drown in the locker room, I don't even think we can use that excuse just because of how new the team is. Like, they haven't heard his voice. Only Brunson, Deuce, and maybe Josh Hart have heard his voice over a calendar year. Everybody else is pretty much new to it. So, I mean, it was just something that we talk about on Knicks Twitter, man. You know, the battleground of Knicks Twitter that I'm in. And so, yeah, but I appreciate the answer.
I think the difference... Brother. I think the difference personally between all those other coaches and their departures and Tibbs is how intertwined he is with this organization, from the friendships to being God, to the fact that I truly believe after he's done coaching, he's working for the front office.
Upstairs.
So like it's not going to be a read and react based off something that happens. Like these coaches got fired. Like, hey, you're disposable now. Like even if he was
all of them had change upstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
All those coaches had like you got Phoenix with the new owner. You got Milwaukee with the new ownership. You got Toronto with Masai Ujiri. His job was in question, so it was a case of, well, it's not going to be me, it's going to be you type thing when it came between him and Nick Nurse.
Exactly.
So I get it.
So with us, there's not going to be change in management. Matter of fact, it's going to be eventually in management, So I think it changes things big time. Iru, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just kind of listening to what you guys are saying. I agree with most of the things you guys are saying, but the thing with Tom Thibodeau, got a couple of things written down, man. 67 games in the season. Just to reiterate that, we got time to figure it out. I believe what Dex was saying about the Mitch Robinson situation, we're going to figure it out. He hasn't ran yet. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that the Knicks will assess that and make a trade. As far as Tom Thibodeau, you guys are talking about that. Tom Thibodeau's not leaving because the players they don't necessarily believe in him, but they believe in themselves regardless of Tom Thibodeau. So. I don't think there's a situation where the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau because of something that happened in the playoffs or whatever. He will be, ascending into the front office some kind of way, and then somebody will probably be hired to take over, down the line if we get there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So I agree with what you guys are saying.
Yeah. So you're saying that you had notes.
Yeah, I got a bunch of notes, man. I mean, you guys you're hitting all.
I like that. I like it. I like you too, Apollo. I see y'all taking notes out here. I like it. I like that.
I will say one thing real quick before we get out of here about the Tips thing is Kind of like what you were saying, Phil, is that I don't think that he'll ever be fired. I think if anything, they will just move him to the front office and then just bring someone in that they trust. I don't see him not being a Knicks lifer at this point, just because of, like you said, the family environment that's there already. I think he's there. I do want to give Tibbs credit because of going back to the Knicks beast point that I didn't get to say something about it. Before he became coach, everyone was asking him, what have you been doing while you weren't coach? Because I guess it might have been a year or two that he wasn't coaching. And he was, he said that he was just studying the game and talking to a lot of guys, and he was just looking at the game differently from the numbers standpoint to what is a better basketball product. And a lot of us had questions and still have questions about the offense that he does run. But if you look at what these guys are doing, they're playing really, really well under Tibbs. And I give him credit because he started to look at the numbers and he added that to his bag for sure, without a doubt. It wasn't a game. It wasn't a game that Tibbs would have coached when he had the Bulls. You know what I mean? Like that those teams that even when he was on the Timberwolves, he wouldn't coach it that way. It's just a different style and brand, and I give him credit for adapting that and applying it and making this team a winning team. So yeah, I will give him credit for what he's done there. Not to say that he should be the coach forever, but it's hard for us to see the progress that he's made if he's been here for the past 5 years at this point. So a lot of people don't really see it because you see him all the time. Just like people have things that they say about their family members is because you see him every day, you know what I mean? Versus someone who sees him every now and then, you know what I mean? So it's in that sense, it's easy for us to see the negatives day to day when we watch games that Tibbs coaches, because we're Knicks fans. We're going to pick apart everything. But outside of that, I do want to give him credit for the offensive side because that's where all of our concerns were, and he's made us a very good offensive team. So I'll give him credit for that.
So last thing I'll say about Tibbs, and then we're going to start wrapping up because it's getting late. Appreciate the 455 plus of you that are still watching right now late at night. We know you got options, so thank you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But what I will say is we can all have thoughts and opinions on the coach, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. What really matters is what's being said, and so even when Towns was coming here, there's a lot of people that talked about how Towns and Tibbs don't get along, how, they didn't get along at the end of their time there and all this stuff. And what are you hearing? You're hearing Towns talk about, he's playing for one of the best coaches out there. You hear, Tibbs talking about all the progression that he's seen from Towns and how Towns has finally, got that whole package that he saw it developing, and now Towns has it. So we can have our own speculations. But when you have the guys all talking about how they love the system and they love the coach.
Just turned to Disco Inferno just now. What happened?
I don't know what that was. That was crazy.
I thought that was just me.
Oh, we good?
Yeah.
We're good now. Yeah.
All right. That's so crazy. But at the end of the day, what the coaches, what the players are saying about the coaches is what really, really. And at the end of the day, these guys are bought into Tibbs and they're bought into his system. So we can have our thoughts, we can have our speculations and all that, but they're the ones that are playing for him. And they're the ones that are saying that they enjoy it, that they love it. All the guys that had problems with the Tibbs system are all gone. All the guys that are there right now are bought into this Tibbs system. So we can speculate all we want, but they're happy. We're seeing them execute well, at least on the offensive end right now. So I think there's a lot of promise. So I'll throw this last question to you, Dex. Before we get out of here, I want to let everybody know that on Wednesday, either at 12 or at 1, I'll confirm it. Myself and Lee Escobedo of the Nick of Time show, and possibly Jay Ellis, depending on work schedule, we'll be sitting down with Wilson Chandler to talk Knicks, what his thoughts are on what he sees with this new squad, some memories of his time in New York. So we're really looking forward to that. So make sure that you check it out on Wednesday at 12 or at 1. We'll announce it for sure sometime tomorrow. But Dex, over these next 2 games, what do you think we'll see from the Knicks, or what are you hoping to see? The most important game to me, obviously now with Luka gone, is that Nuggets game. You know, we're playing a team that has championship DNA. We're playing a team that has cohesion. They've been playing with each other for a long time now, so they have that against us. We'll be able to test this whole cat is soft against, elite bigs theory that some Knicks fans have. And we'll also be able to see a guy like Sims be able to get some minutes against a better center and see what he's really made of. So especially that game, what are you hoping to see in this next few games against the teams ahead of us?
I want to see the Knicks have the killer mentality to want to get a streak going here. I think these games are winnable. It's funny. The game that makes me the most nervous is the Jazz game, right? Like it feels like it could be a letdown. The Knicks did not fly to Utah immediately after leaving Phoenix last night. And look, I get it because it's Utah. Ain't much to do out there. If you've ever been to Salt Lake City, there's not that much to do. So they probably want to spend another night in Phoenix. It's a little more fun, but when you go to Utah, you can get adjusted to the altitude because there's a little altitude there in Utah in the mountains. And then you got to go to Denver. So they have 2 games where they play in the altitude. I just don't want to see a letdown against the Jazz. I think another thing that should be noted, Phil, is that, they've got a couple of days off between Wednesday's game and then play Saturday against the Jazz. That's good for the Knicks. The Knicks haven't had a lot of practice time. The Knicks have been on the road a lot early this season. So hopefully they can get some practice time in there, and that's going to help guys like Sims and other guys to build their confidence. Also, I like to see Miles McBride come back, with the knee inflammation. They're getting a little concerned at this point, but it sounds like he should be good to be as questionable, at least for the rest of this trip. So we'll see how that goes. But I just want to see them understand that this is a good opportunity because they're not back home in the month of November. This is a good opportunity for them. If they win these games, which I think is possible, they could win all of them, even if they go 3-1 the rest of this trip. Yeah. I still think that's really good. But to kind of put these wins together as a streak, get 5-6 games above 500, and then take it from there as you come back home. So I just want to see the defense improve. I want to see them put teams away. I want to see the defensive improvement. I'm watching Sims a lot through this road trip, how he plays, how the team plays better defensively. The offense, I'm not even worried about with this team. This offense is so good. The quality of shots they're getting is so good. I can't remember a Knicks team getting this many good quality of shots. Like, they're not taking tough shots. They're not taking contested threes. They're not taking contested step back threes. These are all good open shots with movement. It's a defense. If the defense is, 5% better in the next week, I think that's good. It's trending in the right direction. That's what you want to see, I think, in the next 4 games.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that, Dex. To those of you that are watching, just a heads up, we will not be live next Thursday. It's Thanksgiving. Be with your family, hang out, relax. It's also my son's birthday, and so I definitely ain't hang out with y'all next week. I'm hanging out with my little man.
My daughter's birthday.
Yep. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday to both of them.
Salute to y'all, man.
Yes. So we're going to be hanging out with family Wednesday and Thursday. And we will be making an announcement. If you notice the schedule, we noticed that in pretty much all of December, except for Christmas, games are on Thursdays. So we're not trying to do that. We're not trying to come on at 10:30 at night and rock till 1 o'clock in the morning. We're not doing that. So we will be moving to Wednesday nights for the month of December. So we'll let you guys know, how that all goes, because we want to make sure that we honor everybody. And Nick of Time does the post-game show. So we're definitely not competing with our own family. Dexter, thank you so much. We appreciate you, man. Like, you've always been super supportive. And if you guys are not following Dexter, please follow him. He has given so many independent Knicks content creators an opportunity to step on the big stage with him and share our voices. And we couldn't be more thankful for his time. Like I said, before he got on this show, he was on his own freaking show and still came on and rocked with us for, an hour. So thank you, Dexter, so much. We appreciate you, bro. Tell everyone where they can find you and what you have upcoming.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. All you guys keep doing the great work you're doing. Love this Knicks Nightcap format. So just keep it up. Everybody can follow me at D Henry TV. Weekly show, New York Got Game, out every Monday. We do the live show on Thursdays. We also maybe are going to be moving to, for the same reason, we're going to be doing some Wednesday shows in there. So rock with both of us, man. Gotta get some of you guys. Gotta get some of the Knicks Nightcap. We gotta do a little crossover thing. You gotta make that happen. But it's some good stuff. Did a recent good interview with John Starks that people could check out. That was dope. And this week on Got Game, I have Precious Achua's high school coach, Peter Way, is going to be joining me to talk about. He coaches Al Xavier Lutheran up in the BX, and he's going to be talking to me about his high school team and also coaching Precious and all that. Talk a little Knicks too. So should be fun. That's what we got going on. But exciting times, man. And thank y'all for having me. And I'm glad I rocked with y'all because the Steelers, although it looked like they might get a touchdown, they're down 16-8. Not making me happy. They're playing in the snow. It looks miserable out there in Cleveland. So I would have rather sat here and talk Knicks than been upset about all that. So that's all good.
That's awesome. We appreciate it. And Dexter, I have to say, man, I loved seeing you do the Starks, interview. I don't know if you're anything like me. When we got to interview John Starks, I was like trying to find that balance of being professional, but also being like a kid in a candy shop because he was like one of my favorite players growing up. And I'm like, yo, I'm seriously on screen with like someone to me that was like a legend, So
yeah, for me, he was my favorite player growing up. So and I had interviewed him a couple other times, but nothing for a sit down. And it was crazy. It was one of those pinch yourself moments for me still. Like there's very few people I'm like, kind of like, you get excited, and I don't get excited about. I take everything as a blessing, but for me, it was definitely kind of a pinch yourself moment. And if I said it on the show at the end of the interview, if you'd have told myself at 10 years old or 11 years old, you'd be sitting and interviewing John Starks one day, I'd have been like, yo, you're crazy. So yeah, I was the kid in East Flatbush, Brooklyn with the Starks jersey. People trying to take it from me in school. It was joking, no bullying like that. But it was just joking and a fun thing, and just being a Knicks fan. Being a Knicks fan was not easy in the 90s, as some people might think. Okay, like I think people get that twisted. Eru, you know this too. People get it twisted, thinking like, oh, you grew up as a Knicks fan. There was a lot of Bulls fans around. There's a lot of clowning because you were a Knicks fan. So I see you guys nodding. People in the chat know what's up. And yeah, but like Starks was my guy, and I love the way he played. And I've been blessed in the last couple of years to talk to some of these Knicks legends and have him in studio. It was a good one. So yeah, the little kid in me was kind of like, yo, can't believe this is happening. But it was dope. It was really dope.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate you guys. Eru, Apollo, Billy, you guys know you are my brothers. Appreciate you. Couldn't do this without you guys. Till next time, you guys enjoy the holiday. Thank you all for rocking with us. Hit the like button, hit the button, hit the retweet, let people catch it on the replay gang. And until December, we'll see you in December. And hopefully our Knicks will give us a lot of positive things to talk about between now and then. So thank you guys so much, and you have a great night. Here's the outro.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now.